And now the next case.
All parties on Heasley versus Jackson. Step forward, please.
Tom Heasley is suing his former friend Clark Jackson for wrecking his truck during a drunken camping trip. Clark says Tom encouraged him to drive while intoxicated and should share the blame for the accident.
Mr. Heasley, you and a few friends, including the defendant, went on a fishing vacation. Now, tell me about this fishing vacation. Who went on the fishing vacation?
Jesse Mobley, who's my witness, I went, and Clark Jackson went. We decided to go up to Rock Creek Lake to do some trout fishing to celebrate Jesse's wife being pregnant. So
just a second. A bunch of guys went fishing to celebrate his wife being pregnant?
He had the choice of what we were going to do.
What's your name?
Jesse Mobley.
You must have a very understanding wife, Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky you. So you went trout fishing, got some liquor?
We brought up some beer. Clark purchased a pony keg to bring up for the second night. Pony keg? Yeah. 5 gallons of alcohol for our last night there.
Mr. Heasley, let's get to the truth of it. Everybody was pretty drunk, and he took your truck.
The night he took my trunk, all of us had a decent amount of alcohol.
Okay. Now, how did you get behind the wheel of this truck? Tell me about it.
Well, Your Honor, we had gone up to the store the night before and gotten some firewood, and we went back to the campsite that night, and we drank a couple more beers, and we started a campfire. I went to sleep, and they burned all the firewood that night, 5 bundles of firewood. The next night, I went to go light another fire, and I realized there wasn't any firewood, and I said, well, I'll go get some. Tom, you want to go with me? And he said, no, I don't want to go. I asked Jesse. Jesse said, no, he doesn't want to go. So I said, okay, fine, I'll go get it myself.
And you had been drinking?
Yes, I had been. It was a bad judgment error, and...
Is that what happened?
Not even close.
So tell me your version of what happened.
Clark jumped in the truck without permission before Jesse and I could protest from the back of the campsite, said, I'm going to the store, jumped in, and was gone. And I waited. This was a night where he had drank quite a bit. We all had. But none of us, Jesse and I were not anywhere near as drunk as Clark was. We weren't stumbling around the campsite. We weren't driving.
Okay, so he jumped in the car. And then when was the next time you saw him?
The next time I saw him was when I decided to put on my jacket and walk up to the store because he'd been gone for an hour and a half. I met the highway patrol coming down. It's documented here. They said, Tom, your truck has been totaled. We're taking Clark down for DUI.
Which they did?
Which they did.
Now, tell me about this truck that you have. How old is it?
It's an 88 Ford Bronco. I just purchased it for $4,900.
You have proof of the purchase price of this truck for me?
Yes.
Can I have it, please? Now, Mr. Jackson, while I'm looking at that, sir, why do you feel as if you're not responsible for his truck?
Basically, Your Honor, previously, well, the entire trip up there, Tom had been consenting to drinking and driving. Everywhere we went, we were drinking. On the way up there, Tom was sitting in the back seat of the Bronco handing us the alcohol.
How old are you, sir?
I am 22.
Not true.
There comes a point, sir, that you have to be totally and completely responsible for what you do.
Yes, ma'am, I do understand that. But he did give me consent earlier that day by saying, you are welcome to drive my truck anytime this weekend. You are a very good driver. I know you can handle it.
Mr. Jackson, you were blotto drunk.
Yes, ma'am, I do understand that.
You mean you think he should have said to you, you have permission to drive my truck unless you're blotto drunk?
Your Honor, there was never a point in time where that drinking and driving was an issue.
Well, it was an issue when you wrecked his truck.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. 28-year-old Tom Heasley says while on a camping trip with his buddies, Clark Jackson wrecked his truck.
You destroyed his truck. Were you able to salvage any part of it?
None of all the salvage fees went for the tow fee, $1,000 to have it towed out of the canyon.
And you had no insurance?
Just minimal insurance.
What kind of what's minimal? Look at me, sir.
Okay.
What kind of minimal insurance?
Just theft and collision.
Did your insurance pay
No,
anything
not-
towards the car,
not
is
a
what I
dime.
want to know.
Not a dime. I did not receive a dime.
What was your blood alcohol on that day, sir?
Ma'am, it was .14.
So did you plead guilty to DUI?
I am in the process, yes.
Okay. Easy. Don't drink and drive.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you're 22 years old and old enough to get behind the wheel of a car, that you have to know. Don't blame anybody else. It's nobody else's fault but yours. You get behind the wheel of a car and you're drunk, you're just lucky you didn't kill yourself or, more importantly, somebody else.
Yes,
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll back up to you right now.
Judge Judy continued.
Your Honor, this is case number 229 on the calendar in the matter of Stake versus Martin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Yes.
Oh, no. Come up here, gentlemen. This is your son, Mrs. Stake.
Yes, it is.
And Miss Martin, this is your son.
Yes, it is.
How lovely for you both. Miss Stake, you had a rental car. You let your son drive the car. He was with his friends. My reading of these papers suggests to me that both of these idiots got drunk. He drove the car right into a pole. Right?
Correct.
You think his mom, because he's a minor, should pay for the damage to the car.
Correct.
His mom says that you know your son drinks and you shouldn't have given him the car. That's your position.
That's correct.
So that you are not responsible for the damage.
Right.
Before I ask you two ladies to sit down, I'd like just for you to give me the bills for the car, and then I'm going to deal with the young men.
This is the
So the amount that you had to pay was $5,878.43.
That's the balance of it. My insurance paid $4,900.
But this is just the balance.
Correct.
Why don't you two ladies have a seat for a moment? I'll ask you to come back in a moment. Your first name is what, sir?
Paul.
Paul. And yours?
Jamal.
Now, Paul, tell me about how your mother, it came about that you asked your mother to borrow the car for the evening.
Well, it was, we all wanted to go out. He called me up. He said, what's up on the night? And I said, nothing, and got this rental car. And, you know, he wanted to go kick it. So I was like, all right, fine. You know, I told him I had no money. He said, come on now, this is Jamal.
Could you keep your voice up and try to speak slowly?
Oh, okay. He was like, come on now, this is Jamal. So I was like, all right. So he wanted to get drunk. Well, we all wanted to get drunk. So he went and bought the drink. Then after a while, we went to my...
Just a minute. So you went to your mother, and you said to your mother what?
Well, actually, she already gave me the car. She already let me use the car.
That day?
Yeah. But
What did she say when she gave you the car?
She was like, be careful. And I said, okay.
That sounds right. You said, be careful?
Yes.
So right after your mother said, be careful, you and this genius over here decided to use the car and to go and get some booze and drink, right?
Right.
And where did you decide to do that?
At my sister's house.
Your sister's house? How old is your sister?
Well, she is about 19 now.
So you decided to go to your 19-year-old sister's house with Jamal over here and how many other people?
Just one more person, my best friend.
Now, were you drinking before you got to your sister's house? Is not an answer. In court.
No.
No is an answer. So what happened at your sister's house?
Well, I said, let's leave, you know, because he got into an argument with my sister and everybody else in the house. So I said, you know, let's leave. But by that time we decided to leave, we was already toe up. We were already drunk.
What was the word he used first? Toe up.
Toe up.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, you know, I was too intoxicated to drive, but I still said, let's go. But I wasn't going to leave just right away after I said, let's go. I was going to stay there and wait until I got sobered up. But he was like, no, you too drunk. He tried to take the keys from me. I was struggling with him because I was going to throw them to my best friend across the street. But he already got the keys from me because I was too intoxicated to hold on to the keys. But I still remember that. And after that, he just got into the car. I don't remember how I got into the car. That's the only thing I don't remember. But we got into it.
If you don't remember how you got into the car, you must have been 3 sheets to the wind. Did you ever hear that expression? 3 sheets to the wind?
Nah, no.
No.
So...
No, toe up, you know. Go ahead. So now you're in a car. You don't know how you got there because you were...
Toe up.
Drunk as a skunk. Right?
Yes.
What do you remember next, Paul?
All I remember is you know, I hear the car going, and next thing I know, I hear him and my best friend in the back arguing, telling him to slow down. And I did wake up and say, slow down, and then I went back.
That you remember. You don't know how you got into the car, but you remember saying, slow down.
I do remember that.
Okay. And the next thing you know, you were dancing with a pole.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They're 2 idiots.
I agree with that. And the mother is an idiot as well. Excuse me?
And later today,
Just a second. A bunch of guys went fishing to celebrate his wife being pregnant?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gina Stake is suing Jamal Martin's mother, Queenie, because Jamal wrecked her car. Queenie says she's not responsible, claiming Jamal only drove the car because Gina's son Paul was too drunk to drive.
Jamal!
Yes.
Let's hear from you.
Okay. On September 13th, I called him and asked him...
Let's do this. You were in his sister's house drinking.
We were outside drinking.
I stand corrected. You were outside drinking.
Mm-hmm.
What were you drinking?
A bottle of Tanqueray.
Tanqueray. That's
yes.
Vodka?
Gin.
Gin. Thank you.
Order.
All right, so you all get towed up. Tow up?
Toe up.
Tow up. You all get tow up, and you got into the car.
Yes.
And what happened?
While we were outside, I was talking to a friend, and I heard some yelling. When I turned around, Paul and his friend Jacoby were arguing about who was going to drive home. Now, I already knew that Paul had passed out, so I walked over to him and told him to give me the keys. There was an incident months before where he had gotten drunk, and I had drove him home before, and his mother had thanked me for it the next day.
Were you drunk
No.
then?
No, I wasn't.
Yes, but you were drunk that evening.
Yes, I was.
So you got behind the car, the wheel of the car,
Yes.
drunk,
Yes.
and hit a pole,
Yes.
and totaled the car.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
How old are you?
18.
You go to school?
Yes.
You work after school?
No, not anymore.
Why?
Well, they had to let me go because I had to rephase a class. And
You had to what?
Rephase a class. That's taking the class over.
Why?
Because it was hard and I didn't understand it, so I had to take it over.
What about you?
No, I'm working right now.
Oh, good. That's good.
Thank you.
Now I'll have the mothers back. Consider yourselves both really lucky. I assume you do. You look like two absolutely lovely women.
Thank you.
Lovely, responsible women who really shouldn't be here today because they're too big to beat, for want of a better word. So you got to beat them financially in order to teach them a lesson, both of them. Because I agree with you that this young man is partially responsible for this bill. So is he. You agree?
I agree.
He had no business getting behind the wheel of a car.
That's true.
So he's got to pay.
I also agree, however, though, that Miss Stake is also at fault.
If she knew that her son had driven before drunk,
Right.
and she was hoping it would not recur, is that right?
I agree.
They're she's partially responsible. He's going to pay half of this bill.
And what portion is Miss State going to pay?
Oh, that half. That half, because it's going to take him a long time collecting cans or doing whatever he does to come up with $2,800, $2,900,
Okay.
which is what we're talking about. Bottom line is, he was the one who could have killed himself, the passengers in the car. Instead of hitting a pole, he could have hit
But who made
someone crossing the street with their baby carriage
This was
instead
3
of a
o'clock
pole.
in the morning.
Hmm?
This was 3 o'clock in the morning.
So what? Are you trying to make an excuse for him?
No, I'm just saying that no
Don't
baby,
make
no one
any
in a baby
excuse for
carriage.
him.
I am not making an excuse. I
So
have
if it
told
wasn't
him.
a baby carriage, if it was somebody
But I
coming home
understand
from a
what you're
3
saying.
o'clock shift working that was crossing the street that he could have killed because he's an idiot.
Right, I understand that.
All right, good. So let's not make any excuses. I don't like excuses for one's children. When they do something stupid, you're supposed to say, my kid did something stupid.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, Your
Perfect.
Honor.
Then he's going to
But
pay
I'm also
half.
saying that I feel that my son was a minor at the time. Her son was over 18. Yes, I am responsible for my child. Her son, who was working at the time, is responsible for himself.
Right.
Now, she sent me a letter saying that to split the difference. I sent her a letter back saying, because I feel that you are at fault as well as your son and the other gentleman in the car, I feel that the greatest burden should be paid by her and the 3 boys should split the remaining difference.
I see it differently. I see it big time differently, and I'm going to tell you why. But for the actions of your son, it is possible that that car would not have been driven that night. He didn't have to take the keys to the car and drive it. He could have said, I'm going back in the house and calling my mother and having her come and pick me up because I'm not going to drive this car while I'm drunk. If they want to act like fools and drive the car, that's none of my business. Then you wouldn't be standing here
Exactly.
today.
Also-
No, just a second. They're 2 idiots.
I agree with that. And the
All
mother
right.
is an idiot as well.
Excuse me?
I'm saying, had she not commended him, her undermining what I'm teaching my child by saying, yes, Jamal, you did a good thing driving my son home when he was drunk, maybe he wouldn't have drove this time. I'm not making an excuse, but I'm saying...
You are making an excuse,
No, I'm
madam.
not.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Like I said, this is all fine to me. There's no person in this world like me. I can overcome anything in this world at all, anything.
And later today,
Tom had been consenting to drinking and driving.
Mr. Jackson, you were blotto drunk.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Miss Martin, she said to you in her letter, split the difference
And I
with me
don't feel it
because
should be
I am
split.
prepared to accept part of the responsibility for giving my son the car. She didn't say to you, your son was driving, therefore he's got to pay the difference. She said, I'm prepared to split the difference with you. That's assuming, on her part, a certain responsibility for allowing her idiot to drive the car in the first place. Come on, get it together, madam. $2,900. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back, go to your right, please.
The money, that's not nothing. I'm still going to live out my dreams and become the richest person in 5 years. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I said, this is all funny to me. They can get their money all they want to. But once they see what I become in the future, I mean, they're going to feel bad because they're not a part of it.
Well, there's somebody lying big time.
Yeah, must be, because that's what he said.
And it sure ain't me lying either.
And now the next case.
Parties on Crawford versus Sullivan. Step forward, please.
30-year-old personnel director John Crawford says he bailed his friend Shannon Sullivan out of jail and he won't pay him back. Shannon claims he never asked John for his help.
You were arrested for assault. He posted bail.
That's correct.
You won't pay him the money for the bail that he posted for you.
That's correct.
Well, let us start with you, sir.
Okay.
Because I found your response, quite frankly, slightly ungrateful. Now, when were you arrested?
On the 24th of November,
What were you arrested for?
assault.
Don't look down there. You probably don't need it, because
Actually,
I'm sure you
okay.
can tell me
It
exactly.
was the 28th of November.
And you were arrested for assaulting whom?
Somebody at a nightclub.
Were you drunk?
Nope.
So that wasn't an excuse.
No.
You just didn't like them.
No, that wasn't the fact either. I was pulling out of the driveway at the nightclub, and this particular individual walked up to my car and kicked it, a brand new car. Myself and another friend got out of the vehicle and walked up to him, and he started a confrontation. I went back to get in the vehicle, and he came in the vehicle after me. He was on top of me inside the vehicle. The police were sitting out front, and they all swarmed in, and they seen it happen.
Well, that sounds like he assaulted you, so why do you think you were arrested?
Because of the injuries on him.
Which were, I assume, substantial?
Yes.
Were you convicted of that assault,
No,
ultimately?
I wasn't.
Did you go to
The case
trial?
was dismissed.
Now, when you were arrested, you were taken to jail,
Yes.
and bail was fixed?
Actually, I was going in for my OR hearing,
What's an OR hearing?
released on my own recognizance.
But you spent the night in jail.
No, I didn't.
You spent any time in jail?
Yes,
Is the reason that you were released from jail because this gentleman posted bail?
that's correct.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Forget the bail. Why didn't you say that?
Well, I didn't think about it at the time in the bill.
Well, you should have thought about it at the time, Mr. Sullivan.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 30-year-old personnel director John Crawford says he bailed his friend Shannon Sullivan out of jail and he won't pay him back. Shannon claims he never asked John for his help.
How long did you know him before you posted this bail?
Not very long, just a couple of weeks.
And would you tell me how it came about that you posted the bail for him?
I happened to be walking out of the nightclub right as this incident started, and I witnessed it. And I saw the police take him away. I received a phone call at early hours in the morning from the friend that was with him, and he said, Shannon is in jail. He wanted me to call you, tell you that he's in jail. This friend said that he told Shannon he could not get him out of jail, and wanted to know if I could do anything to help get him out. He said that Shannon would try to get a hold of me later, which he did. He was able to call me from a desk sergeant's phone.
So he called you from a desk sergeant's phone, and what did he say when he called?
He gave me all the specific information, the case number, told me what he was booked on, told me how much the bail was. I immediately called a bail bondsman. I didn't even think twice about calling a bail bondsman, even though we weren't really good friends. I just felt sorry for him. I didn't want anyone to have to spend Thanksgiving Day in jail when he was planning on going to see his family in Arizona the next day. So I placed bail for him. And
how much did that cost you?
Well, bail was $5,000. They charged 20% of that for fees, and then there's filing fees, so it was $760.
And did you have a discussion with him about paying you back?
He wrote me a thank you note, said, I can't believe you did that for me. Don't worry, I won't let you down. I felt sorry for him because he said that he needed money, and I actually knew of some work that was opening up where I work, and so I gave his name to some people at work. He was hired at work, worked there just a short time, and after he stopped working where I work, he stopped returning all phone calls. I tried calling several times.
All right, Mr. Crawford. Now, Mr. Sullivan, $760 is what this gentleman spent on your behalf. Now, you want to try to explain to me why you don't think you owe him this money.
First of all, I knew I was going to an OR hearing and I was going to be released, okay? When I went up to the judge for my OR hearing, she said that you were just released on a $5,000 bond. I did not know who did. I didn't contact anybody. I never contacted my family or anything. Nobody even knew about it except for Paul, which was my friend. I never requested John to bail me out whatsoever. John did it on his own. That was his own thing. He did it.
Yeah, I'd spend that much money just to be nice.
Okay.
So why didn't you just tell the judge,
first,
I'm not accepting this bail, and I'm prepared to hear whatever you have to say, and I'll plead my own case to be released on my own recognizance without any consideration of this bail, so forget the bail. Why didn't you say that?
Well, I didn't think about it at the time in the bail.
Well, you should have thought about it at the time, Mr. Sullivan. You were more than happy at the moment to say, thank you very much. Where's my hat?
Bye-bye.
He wasn't arrested. You were arrested. Sounds to me
Right.
like he was a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy for doing that. But I think there's
assume
more
you
to
told-
it than just being a nice guy also. I
Like
think
what?
at the time he had something for me or an infatuation for me, and he thought he could get on the good side of me by posting the $5,000 bill.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, it was too nice, actually.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You had an option, sir. Your option was to say to the judge, who posted the bail for me? Question. Answer, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Crawford.
I did ask
do not.
that.
You did ask.
They did not have that at the time because the bondsman had not delivered everything over to
Well,
the court
if the
yet.
bondsman hadn't delivered everything over, Mr. Sullivan, they wouldn't have released
That's
you.
what I was told.
They
I didn't
wouldn't
get out
have
till 2
released
hours
you if
later.
the bondsman had not delivered all the paperwork. I've been around long enough to know that.
Okay. I'm just telling you
All
what I
right, this is
know.
not a very difficult case. You owe him $760.
Okay.
Period. End of discussion. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Penda versus Crane. Step forward, please.
55-year-old engineering assistant Dee Pender says she bought a computer for 43-year-old Robert Crane while the two were dating. Robert claims he knows nothing about it.
While you and the defendant were dating, you claimed that you bought a computer for him. He agreed to pay you for the computer. Stop dating. And he hasn't paid you for the computer.
Right.
That's simple?
Right.
He says he doesn't know what you're talking about. You never bought him a computer. He doesn't know about a computer. Is that right?
Correct.
Interesting. So, how long were you dating before you bought him this computer, and tell me why you did in the first place?
Probably about 4 months I was dating him, and he was over that night, and we had talked about that I might get a computer. And I was on the phone, and he came in, and he says, "Oh, you're ordering a computer?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Do you think I could get one too?" And I said, "Well, I'll ask." So I asked, and she said, "You can buy as many as you want."
Well, where were you ordering these from?
Through my company that I work for.
Were you getting a good deal on them?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Yes, uh-huh.
Go ahead.
They offered them to the employees only. And she said, yes, I could get as many as I wanted. I said, okay. He says, well, put it on your charge for me, and I'll pay you back next month. Fact is, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. And I went, shh, wait till I'm done. So I finished ordering 2 computers and got off the phone. He says, yeah, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. Everything on your bill I'll pay off. Yours and mine and anything else that's on there. He said, I make plenty of money. He said, no problem. And I said, no, you pay what you owe me, I pay my own bills.
How much was the computer that you bought for him?
In the end, by the time we got everything on there was $1,943.55. That's what it finally came to.
Okay.
So he comes over and he says, I make $15,000 a month. Here's my check stub, I'll show you. And I looked and I went, whoa. And he says, yeah, I make plenty of money. Don't worry, I'll pay the whole thing. I said, no, just pay your bill. That's all I want. And so the bill came in, and he says, well, the next month, he says, I'm a little short of cash. Can I just make the payment this time? He said, actually, I'll pay it when my tax check comes in. He said, that'll be in the next week. And I said, okay. I said, you know, pay $100 on this. Okay. So
Did he give you $100?
Yes. Yes, he paid me $100.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have the computers been delivered?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they were delivered the next month.
Did you talk to him about his computer?
Oh, yeah. He said, yeah, he liked it. He thought it was great.
What kind was it?
A Micron? Micron, I believe. Here it is right here.
Okay. And which credit card did you put it on?
My Citibank Visa.
Okay.
There's a little note here that he left tagged on my car after he moved out in the middle of the night in his handwriting saying, I will pay you. He put this on my car. I put the date up there of the day he left it on my car.
Let me have it, please. Yes. I'm listening.
Yes, ma'am. As far as this computer, she'd called me and said she'd purchased a computer. And as far as another computer, I know nothing about it. I was very shocked on this lawsuit that she served me. I was very shocked. I was very shocked. And the thing I did, I finally had to move because all she did was call me every night. She wanted to pursue this relationship. Hey, I didn't want to hear anything else about it. So I finally had to move because we lived in the same complex. I did not need to hear any more of this
if you
from her.
can't be quiet, you have to leave. Do you understand?
So the only thing I can see is she's very distressed that she couldn't pursue this relationship.
So you think she bought these 2 computers that are clearly on her bill for somebody else, or maybe she just wanted 2 computers for herself?
Possibly. As far as that, the only thing I knew, she called me up. She said, "Oh, I bought a computer." "Oh, you did? Okay, fine."
If there would be a copy of a check that you gave her for $100, what would that be for?
It would be for some stamps that I purchased from her for a mail order business that she was going into, that I paid her for.
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
I'm not full of
You're a very quick thinker. I don't have a check for $100, a copy of a check.
But still,
I just wanted to figure out, to see what your answer would be if you thought I had a copy of the check.
That's what it would have been for.
Oh, God. Must be smoking something real good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
$1,943.55 is what your Visa bill shows. Does very fancy footwork. Miss Pender, you're very lucky that whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him, whoever it was, you're very lucky.
Yes.
Earth to Mr. Crane. You can't pull the wool over everybody's eyes all the time, sir.
I'm sorry.
What were the interest charges since this purchase was made? His interest charges, we're going to give him credit for the $100, even though he now says it's for stamps.
And also lost wages because same time he moved, his company moved, and it took me 2 days to find out where they were.
You're going to, listen, you're going to chalk that up to experience.
Okay.
All I want to know is the interest. It's $320.
She had a business card all along.
2163, right?
That's what you got there.
That's what I got there. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,163.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Judges number 207 in the matter of Thomas versus Eclavia. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Thank you, Bernie.
Very welcome, Judge.
Ms. Thomas, the basis of your complaint is that the defendant had you falsely arrested, according to you, for assault, which caused you to be embarrassed, humiliated, stressed, strained, etc., etc. Is that right?
Yes.
And your story is a rather interesting one, and I think that probably it needs an airing because it led up to this arrest.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
How do you know her?
When I lived in Washington State about 7 years ago, I knew her just from the neighborhood we lived in. We were friends. We've been friends. Then I ran into her again down here about a year and a half ago. So we've been friends and stayed in contact here and there when we didn't lose touch with each other for almost 7 years now.
Now, you were both living on a Navy base?
Navy, military housing.
Military, both of you?
Yes, different complexes.
I understand. And according to the papers that I've seen, there was a transaction with a car that started all this trouble.
Right.
Well, tell me about that.
Okay. I sold her the car for $100, and I let her make payments on it because they had no money, no vehicle, or anything. Then I went on vacation. I signed the title and gave her the keys on the agreement that she would get it out of my name on her husband's next payday because I was leaving on vacation. And then
what kind of car was this?
Dodge 400. I bought a new car, and
How old was the car?
I think at 84 or something.
So it was a real old car?
Yeah.
She sold you the car?
No, she sold it to my husband. I don't even drive. I've never driven.
She sold it to you or your husband, but there was an understanding that you would get it out of her name so she wouldn't be liable for it anymore.
Yes.
Did you do that?
The agreement was she would wait until we had the money, which would be the next paycheck.
But then you didn't.
The Navy was.
But you didn't do it the next paycheck.
We didn't have the money at that time.
I don't care whether you didn't have the money. That's not her problem that you didn't have the money. Let me just understand this. And you didn't fulfill your agreement with her next paycheck to get the car out of her name. That's what this whole argument was about. Is that correct?
That's what started it, yes.
So then what happened?
Then she tells me on the day I got home that she had sold the car and it's out of my name. So I called the DMV and it was still in my name. In fact, it's in my name to this day.
Did you tell her that you sold the car?
Yes, I did sell the car. My husband and I had separated, and I didn't have any finances, so I did sell the car.
Now tell me about this assault. How did this all take place?
It was basically because her husband was driving a car around in my name uninsured. Then she sold it to somebody I don't even know who's driving it around
Terrible.
in my name uninsured.
She's very irresponsible.
Then I talked to her on the phone and she said, come over and get your cat. She had my cat while I was on vacation. I went over there. We got into a verbal argument. All I did was throw
over the car.
Over the car, yes, and her not getting it out of my name. All I did was throw the litter box on the ground, and the next thing I know, the police are at my house telling me that I assaulted her and I threatened her life if she didn't sign a bill of sale. And I just kept insisting I didn't do this, you know, and they kept telling me, you know, this is what you did. And they arrested me.
Do you have a copy of the complaint?
The police report?
Yes.
No, I tried to get it, but it had been over 60 days, so they wouldn't give it to me without a court order.
This is untrue, what she says.
Just a minute. Did you call the police?
Yes, I did, and the
Why?
reason why I called the police is when she came to pick up her mail and her cat, when I turned around to get the mail, she threw the cat on me to where it clawed my back, and its claw stuck in my back. Then I went and I tried to get outside to where somebody could see what she was doing. I did not have a phone in my home. My neighbors heard and saw her yell at me and say that she was going to come back and kill me.
You called the police?
Yes, I did call the police.
All
She
right.
assaulted me in my own home.
Well, just a minute. Did you throw your cat on her?
No, my cat was pregnant. I would not harm my cat in any way. I never touched her. I will take a lie detector. I will do anything. I never touched her. I never assaulted. I never threatened her life. I never did any of that. The only
Well,
thing
you might
her
have threatened
neighbors
her.
saw.
You might have said a lot of loud things because you were angry.
Exactly. But the only thing the neighbor saw was me throw the kitty litter box on the ground, which was empty, and say, I'll be back later for the car because she told me to come back for the car. The guy who bought it doesn't want to deal with this.
Do you have any photographs of how the cat injured you?
I had them at home, but I never got them developed because I dropped charges on her.
Just a second.
I did not want to press charges.
Hold on a second. Well, even if you didn't want to press charges then in the criminal proceeding, you're here today, so you knew you were coming to court today. Why didn't you get the pictures developed?
Because I did not even want to have it brought this far.
But
She
you know
has
you were
3
coming here,
children,
madam.
and I did not want it brought this far.
Well,
she did not drop the charges. They dropped the charges because she never
No, that is
responded
untrue.
to any of it.
That
The
is
DA
untrue.
dropped the charges.
No,
she
it is
never
not.
responded to them.
How
I had
long
to
were you
go
in
to
jail?
a mediator. 72 hours.
No, that is untrue.
And my
Whenever-
bill was $15,000. I was in there with hookers and prostitutes that could have got out for $150. Mine would have been $1,500.
Miss Thomas, had you ever been arrested before?
No, I was taken to the police station one time for police disturbance when I was like 18 or 19.
You also say in your complaint that the defendant wrote letters to your husband.
Yes.
While he was away at
Letter.
sea.
I have it right here.
I'd like to see those letters, please.
Do you want to see the one to my housing manager?
Yes, I want to see
This
all
is the one
letters.
to my housing manager. It's signed Concerned Citizen, but you can tell the handwriting matches it perfectly.
Can I see them?
Every sick thing you can imagine she wrote about me.
Excuse me. If she is so nice and innocent, then why do my children fear her? The same day that she assaulted me, my son is coming home from school. She pulls up to him as he's crossing the street from the school, and she tells him that if you don't get out of the street, she's gonna run him over. An 11-year-old boy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are full of baloney because if you had injuries in pictures, you would have brought them.
And later today,
I think at the time he had something for me or an infatuation for me, and he thought he could get on the good side of me by posting a $5,000 bill.
Well, that was nice.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Georgina Thomas says her former friend, Carolyn Eclavia, had her falsely arrested after an argument over a car.
Right now, all I have is her complaint. Put it down.
This
I'm
card?
speaking. I have her complaint. In her complaint, she mentioned several things. You want to sue her? If you think you have a cause of action,
No, I did not
file a
want to
complaint. I'm asking you, did you write to her husband, Ron?
Her husband had
Just
asked me
the
time and
answer
time
is
again.
yes
I
or
did
no.
write him.
Good.
Yes,
And this
he
is
wanted
the
to know if
hey,
she was having an affair.
Hey, you pay attention to me. You wrote her husband. Did you write to her husband before or after this incident involving the police?
Afterwards.
How long had you known her husband?
I've known him before I met her.
So you felt compelled to say that his wife was cheating on
Yes,
him
he
as
had
a
asked me
boyfriend?
time and time again whether she was having an affair. And
When
yes,
did
I
he-
did write, and I did tell her, because the boyfriend was coming to the house where I babysit, where I live, harassing my sons.
It's not true.
Yes, it is true.
Just a second. All of this didn't seem to bother you when you bought her car.
Because
You
I
bought
did
just
not
a
buy it.
second.
I don't even
listen,
drive.
Listen to me. All these things, the boyfriend who was, according to you, when you wrote this letter to the landlord, a convicted felon. She sells pounds of weed and cocaine out of her house. All of these things didn't bother you when she sold you the car a few weeks before this incident occurred. How come all these things just bothered you after the car incident?
Because the harassment didn't start until after she had the problem with my husband. To me, it was
Just a minute,
her
what-
business.
just a
I have
second,
no
what-
right to judge her.
So,
but when
what-
she started harassing me, harassing my children, and assaulting me, then yes, I believe.
Then
yes.
all of a sudden, just a minute, then all of a sudden you decided that her husband had to know, the landlord had to know about all these charges after that. But before it was okay.
I did call the DA
Just a
that
second.
had pressed charges
Hey,
time and time again.
just a second.
And no one would come because I could not afford the restraining order against her.
You don't have to afford a restraining order, madam. All you have to do is go to court. And if you have a case, you can get a restraining order. Don't give me a lot of baloney. Instead of using the court system, what you did was you wrote letters designed to make trouble for her.
Okay.
That's what you did. And calling the police, because I don't believe she threw her cat at you.
Oh, that is
Oh, no, I don't believe it. Because I believe, madam, if she threw her cat at you, you are organized enough, based upon these letters, to have developed the photographs, which you say you have at home.
I do
When you
have
knew
them,
you
I
were
don't
coming
care.
to court today to show me the injuries, you are organized enough to do that. So I don't believe that there were any injuries. I believe that she did
Then
probably...
why would the district attorney look at him on my arms, on my back, and decide
Do
that
you-
he would press charges at her? If there was
Mrs.
nothing
Slava-
wrong, why would he take her to jail?
You are full of baloney, because if you had injuries in pictures, you would have brought them. Now, the only issue is, what kind of damages am I going to assess against you? Because I believe that you are a nasty, vindictive person.
Can I explain a
That's
little
what
more?
I believe. You are a nasty, vindictive person. And I believe that she's entitled to be compensated. Now, the truth is, you threw down this item at her.
I'm kidding.
Okay?
Not
and I
at
don't,
her on the ground.
Whatever, Miss Thomas. You were angry. Very angry. And you probably did say something like you're going to be back because you probably got into a major altercation with her. I don't believe that she had the right, really, at that point, because she was not, in fact, injured by you, to call the police. But I believe that there is more of a vindictiveness involved here than anything else. As a result of that letter that she wrote to your husband, did anything happen?
We're now getting divorced, yes.
Well, it wasn't just because of this letter, is that
no,
right?
we were having small problems at first, but nothing like this.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you whether you had a boyfriend or not. It's really none of my business. The letter was written maliciously, and the letter to the landlord was also written maliciously. That is Army Housing. I'm awarding you $2,500, and that's against you. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused.
you.
You may step out. Up the back door to your right, please.
I've taken her food. They had no food, anything. I was a good friend to her. I took her to buy the dress she has on now because she doesn't drive.
Oh, you're
I
full
did
of it.
everything for
You were
her.
nowhere
The
near
only
me.
thing I have to say is, from now on, if your big sister warns you about somebody, you should listen to it. She's just jealous. She's very jealous because I get all the attention and she gets none.
Yeah, this is case number 240 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
I'm going to try to make this rather complicated case as simple as I can. You are not related to each other, even though you have the same last name.
No.
You are neighbors?
Yes.
She borrowed your car.
Yes, she did.
And it was involved in some sort of a traffic accident, and it was damaged.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes, I do.
She says that while you were babysitting for her, jewelry was stolen from her house. So she's countersuing you for the jewelry. She said, therefore, she doesn't have to pay for the car. Is that this case?
Yes, it is.
So at least we have one thing that's a given. You damaged her car.
Yes.
Now, in what month, date and month, did you damage her car? And you don't know this right off the top?
July 12th, Your Honor. No, I don't.
July 12th is when you borrowed the car.
Yes.
How was it damaged? Tell me.
I was damaged on the on the driver's door.
And how did you do that?
I didn't do it. A car hit her car while I was parked. So she says, Your Honor.
Whatever. You weren't there.
Right.
But it was damaged while it was in your control.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not covered by insurance.
No, it's not.
Why did you let her borrow your car?
Because she asked me if she can borrow my car to go to the grocery store. That's not true.
And I said, do you have a driver's license? And she said yes. And I let her drive my car. When she left, my car was a brand new car.
I understand that. She's acknowledging that the car was damaged while it was under her control. Did you have a driver's license?
No, I did not.
Why? Why did you use her car without having a driver's license?
She sent her daughter to come get me, to go to Lucky's, to go get some milk and cereal for her daughter because she was sick.
Your Honor.
I did her a favor.
Your Honor. She asked me to use my car. The first question I asked her, before I even answered her, was, do you have a driver's license?
That's not true.
She said yes.
Shh. Just a second. Did you have insurance?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, I had got the car in May, and I moved in June. I guess my insurance papers, from what the car dealership told me, went to my old address. Being that I didn't get them in time, they pinned it because I only had it a month after I got my car.
Well, so far you both sound very responsible. No insurance, no driver's license. It's a perfect match.
Okay.
All right. Now, when allegedly was this jewelry stolen and how? What month?
It was stolen August 23rd.
All right. 8/23. Now, between July 12th, when the car was damaged, and August 23rd, why didn't you pay her for the damage?
Because, for one thing, when after the accident had happened, okay, I came straight to Rolanda, and I said, Rolanda, someone had hit your car. We came out, we looked at the car. She said, Rhonda, don't worry about it. It's not that much damage. It could have happened to me if I'd have had your car. She said, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Come on now.
Shh.
All right.
And so
that was it, okay? August 23rd was my birthday. We needed a babysitter.
Just a minute. So are you telling me that between July 12th, when our car was damaged, and August 23rd, there was no other discussion about paying for the car?
None. None.
Okay.
You say there was?
Yes, there was.
When was there?
When she came back, when she pulled back into the parking lot, and I came outside and seen my car, and I'm just shaking my head, and she was like, Rolanda, I'm going to help you fix your car. She said she's been knowing people who can fix my car, Your Honor. She said she's been knowing people, and I'll come to her door, I'll ask her sometime, I'll be like, have you talked to someone?
No,
and she'll be like, yeah, I know somebody who will fix the car.
Okay.
You know, and then she got mad one night and was like, I'm not going to fix your car.
Who are you?
I'm her witness and roommate. We live together. When she was at the store, I was at Rolanda's house sitting, waiting for her because the store is not very far from where we stay at. Okay. When she came back, all three of us walked out where the car is parked at in front of our apartment building, and we looked at the car. You know, I was looking like, where's the dent, you know? And it was very small, like maybe if someone opened their door and maybe hit the car or something like that, that's what it looked like. To me, it wasn't major at all.
I'm going to see pictures of it. I assume the pictures are here.
It wasn't
Yes,
major
I do
at all.
have my
So-
pictures to prove that they're not little itty bitty dents.
I have pictures
I have
too.
some. I have some damages that.
Just a shut.
Okay.
That's certainly not an itty-bitty dent.
No, and that wasn't the dent that was in that car. Neither. Her car had been hit 3 times since that accident.
Well, when did you take pictures of it?
Maybe about 2 weeks ago when I knew that she was following this.
Just a second. 2 weeks ago this happened? 3 months ago?
12th, Your
Yes,
Honor.
but
My
I
case
didn't know she was going to file no suit against me or anything like this.
When were these pictures taken?
Those pictures were taken 3 days ago.
3 days ago?
3 days ago.
Not interested in these pictures?
Well,
I
have
want to
an
see the estimate.
Okay. I have
right
an estimate,
after
Your
July
Honor.
12th.
I have an estimate, Your Honor, proving how much my driver's door does not open. My window is broken.
That window was in that car.
There has been rain in my car, the door. I mean, it's rain, it's mildew stains inside of my car.
Your husband
Just a
broke the
minute.
window.
Hey! This damage report is 2.5 months after this incident.
Yes. Okay. Your Honor, I'm telling the guys all the truth. She damaged my car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that.
And later today,
Whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him, whoever it was, you're very lucky.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rolanda Davis says after she loaned her car to her neighbor, 36-year-old Rhonda Davis, she returned it with extensive damage. Rhonda admits the car was wrecked, but says Rolanda stole a gold ring from her home, making them even.
She acknowledges she damaged your car. Mm-hmm. You do not have an estimate within a day, a two, a week after the accident.
Right.
$1,500 is practically what they charge just to look at a car. Mm-hmm. One of these car doctors, they come out in a white coat and they look at it. The looking costs $1,500. So we're not talking about a lot of money. The damage that you caused to the car was at least probably $1,500.
Yes.
If they have to pull it out, they have to repaint it, they have to buff it out. You agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So $1,500 she's entitled to for the car. Now, you have to prove to me that she took your jewelry. Prove it.
Only way that I can prove it is that when we got ready to leave, when I got to the club, Jocelyn noticed that my jewelry was gone. What I did, I immediately got on the phone. I called Rolanda. I dialed my number. Rolanda answered my phone. She said, hello. I said, Rolanda, this is Rhonda. First thing I said, how's the kids? She said, everything okay. I said, Rolanda, I left my rings on top of the TV. Can you please go get them for the kids won't mess with them? She said, okay. I said, I'm going to hold on until you do this. I was holding on the phone. Whether Rolanda went in my room to check to see was the rings there or not, I was holding on. She came back to the phone. She said, okay, I got them. I said, okay, everything's okay? She said, yes. I hung up the phone. When I returned home, I say approximately maybe about 2:30, close to 2:45. Immediately as I walked in my door, I seen my table, the glass was broke, Then Rolanda said, the window in the room is broke. I said, the room window. So I goes in the room and I pulls the curtain back. The whole window is busted out, A family heirloom that I had from my grandmother that's passed, that was broke, My rings was missing, all in one night.
Okay. What happened?
She called. And she did tell me that her ring was somewhere in her room. She did say that she would hold while I go in the room. I did not go in that room because I didn't want to be responsible for nothing coming up
Just
missing.
a second.
Okay.
Stop you right there.
All right.
She called. She said, I'll hold on.
Mm-hmm. I sat the phone
Just
down.
a second.
Okay.
She said, I'll hold on while you go inside and get my rings because I don't want the kids. That's
Right.
what she said to you.
Right.
And you did what?
And I sat the phone down and sat there. I did not come back and reply to her. I got them.
Yes, you did.
Oh, sure you did.
Yes, you did. That's what the reason
Sure you
I was
did.
holding on.
Okay.
No,
That's why I was, oh, excuse me.
No.
Excuse
Hey,
me.
oh, sure you did.
She is lying. No, I did not. My mother is right here.
Let me tell you why you did. Let me tell you why you did. Because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical for you to have then walked back and said, I don't have the rings. I'm sorry. You put the phone down. You said, I'm going to wait a couple of minutes. You picked the phone up. You said, got him.
I didn't say got him.
What did you say?
I told her I was not going in her room because I wasn't going to be responsible.
No, you didn't.
That's what I said.
No, you didn't. Please,
I didn't
give me a
leave out
break.
that living room.
Your
Honor,
you got
that
my
is
rings.
the truth. I didn't leave out the living room.
Oh, I believe it.
I stayed
How you
right
know the
next door
bedroom
to her.
window was
Listen
broke?
to me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Either way,
okay,
you're responsible. She's absolutely right. Either way, you're responsible. She called you.
That's what
You
I
were
did.
babysitting for her children. She said, I left my rings. Please go inside and secure them. Instead of doing that, you copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that. You took the phone, put it down, waited a minute, picked it up and said, I got him.
That's what she did.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Sure you did. Tell me what rings were missing.
This is the rings right here. I have the things from the rings and everything. They're not even finished paying for. Here's everything for the rings. It's
I
the
never
ones that's
entered a room at all.
That's your problem.
Circled.
Then you lied.
Here's
No,
my
I didn't.
stuff.
Oh,
for
sure you
my-
did.
For my table.
Oh, sure
I
you
didn't-
did.
I got
How?
the window fixed, but not the table.
How,
but
Your
this
Honor?
is
How did you lie?
Yeah.
You lied because you told her I got the rings.
No,
Here
I
we go,
didn't.
right
Oh, I
never
believe you
told her
did.
that.
Listen, I may be wrong. I was wrong once in 1950. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure I was wrong
And
once
this
in
day
1950.
too, Your Honor, because I didn't say that to her.
Be quiet!
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
This case is going to turn out to be a wash, you know. Because I believe that you should have paid for the car, for the damage to the car. I believe that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Miss Attitude over here decided that she was tired of asking you to pay for the car and made things sort of even. Your lawsuit is dismissed. Your countersuit is dismissed because they're just for about the same amount of money. The loss of the rings, the damage to her car, it's a wash.
With me.
That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
All right.
And now the next case.
Parties on O'Cray versus Engler. Step forward, please.
ATM saleswoman Marlene Opray is suing her business associate Roger Engler, charging he vandalized her car. Roger says she's retaliating against him over a business deal gone bad.
All right, Miss Opray, you claim that the defendant vandalized your car.
Yes.
By keying it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why would he do such a thing?
As retaliatory for not working with me any longer.
Well, tell me about that.
We just had a court case in San Francisco about 2.5 weeks ago to where he tried to say I owed him for a sum of money for the month of June.
He was an employee of yours?
No, he was a self-contractor only if he were to sell ATM machines.
Okay, so he was an independent contractor.
Yes, Your Honor.
So he sued you last month.
And he lost because he didn't produce, he didn't make one sale.
Whatever. He lost.
That's right.
When was the car vandalized?
August 25th.
And when was the court case?
October 7th.
So the car was vandalized before the court case?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Did you report it vandalized?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Where was it vandalized? Tell me
It
about
was
it.
in my carport. My daughter saw him do it, and this is Linda, my daughter. And the police came immediately after he had done this, and he fled. If he hadn't done it, why would he flee from the police?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have to tell you what he said in our last court case on October 7th when I told him I had 2 witnesses. 2 weeks ago. And he says, nobody saw me do it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. ATM saleswoman Marlene Opray says her former business associate Roger Engler keyed her car, causing severe damage. Roger denies he did anything wrong.
You say, your mother says at least, that you actually observed him.
Yes, I did.
Well, tell me what you saw.
Your Honor, he came to the house around 8:30 or 9 in the morning. I answered the door, and this gentleman was at my mom's door. He asked if Marlene Opray was there. I asked who he was. He did not want to leave a name with me. I seen he had a white envelope in his hand. I said I was her daughter. I would be more glad to give it to her, and he refused to give it to me. So I shut the door. I went in, I told my mom, she was in the shower at the time. My mom asked him to come back in 30 minutes, asked what he looked like, and this and that. I described him. She couldn't place him. So I went back and I told this gentleman. He wasn't too happy about it. He said he had come a long distance to give this to my mother. And I says, well, like I said, if you want to come back in 30 minutes. I shut my door. I went into my room. Not even 2 minutes later, I heard a screeching noise outside. It's right outside my bedroom window. There's a carport. My car was parked there as well as my mother's. I didn't have any clothes on because I answered the door. I was in my pajamas. I opened it up halfway. I went to go put my pants on to run out there to see what he was doing. He was kneeling down on the other side of my mom's car on the right rear tire. So I got my pants on. I ran out there. At that time, this gentleman was pulling away. I ran out after him. He kept going. He did see me. I saw him look in his rearview mirror. There was another gentleman walking in the park there where we live. He said this gentleman had parked there for a while there.
You can't tell me what the other gentleman said. So you actually saw him kneeling against your mother's car?
Yes, I did.
You did not actually see him scratch your mother's car?
I seen him kneeling there. I heard a noise.
You heard a noise,
Yes.
and you saw him kneeling near the car?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Had you parked the car there the evening before?
Yes, I did.
And when you parked the car there, can you describe its condition to me?
It was good. I mean,
What
I'd
kind of a
been
car is it?
driving all day. I had not been out of the car. I'd been on a long trip. And I'd parked there about 11:30 at night. And, Your Honor, we have security at the park, so nobody came in.
Do you have pictures of the car?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
Yes. Mm.
All right, Mr. Ringler, I'll hear you, sir.
Okay. It's a nice story. Mostly none of it is true, but that's a nice story. Number one, we were partners. I had letters that showed that we were business partners. We had gone on a number of trips together. We were supposed to share income and so on.
I'm not interested in the other lawsuit, sir.
No, I
you
understand.
lost the other lawsuit.
I'm just giving background. She owed me money. She kept on promising she was going to pay money. And then all of a sudden she was disappearing and she wasn't returning calls. And she wasn't returning calls. We had been in for 3 months on the phone every single day, once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day, many times.
I'm not interested in that. You went to her house at 8:30 in the morning
No,
for
I did.
what purpose?
First of all, it was 9:30 in the morning.
9:30.
Okay, there was.
For what purpose?
For what purpose? I went to give her a letter in her hand saying I've dissolved the partnership between us. And that's what I went to deliver. Her daughter came to the door. She was dressed. The door was open. She said, who are you? And I said, I just came here to give your mother a piece of paper. She said, let me go back and find out. She came back and she said, my mother's in the shower. Can you come back in 30 minutes? There was a gentleman walking in the street that we exchanged pleasantries. That was the extent of it.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes, ma'am.
As far as I can see, is simply retaliation. It's whatever she can do. Nothing to do with me.
I see the police were called, sir, on that day, on the 25th of August. So it's clearly not retaliatory because you evidently did not proceed in court until October. Your judgment wasn't until October, the judgment dismissing your suit. She made this complaint the very day of the incident.
Okay. First of all, her car has had many damages on it that she's never repaired. I can't testify as to what scratches and things she had on the car or why she did what she did.
This is a key mark, sir.
Okay, but it could have been there.
This is a key mark.
It was not there.
Here.
Okay.
Show him.
It was not there.
Okay, it's a key mark. You know, but that doesn't mean that I had anything to do with it. It could have been there. I could tell you that she had damages on her car that she's never repaired, and she's using it as an excuse. You know, if it was vandalism, as she claims, then in fact, from what I understand, it's a criminal act. Why didn't the police come, call me, do whatever they want, arrest me? There's no logic.
Your Honor.
Let's see. Just a second. You were given information on how to get a temporary restraining order
Yes.
against him. Did you do that?
No, I didn't because I left on a long cruise. And like the police department said, if you're gone, I went all the way up to Alaska and Canada. There was no sense in getting a restraining order. I was going to be gone.
For how long?
I was gone for 12 days.
Mm-hmm. The cruise was before I even went there. The reason I know that is because
afterwards.
one
Your
of her
Honor.
customers I had spoken to her and called me. The cruise was before.
Yeah. What kind of business are you in, sir?
I'm in the ATM business. I sell ATM, cash dispensers, credit card processing, and so on. I was never an employee of hers. I was never a contract laborer of hers. I had my own company. She approached me to be a partner with her and hers.
I just asked you, shh. Have you ever been arrested?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When?
2 years ago.
For what?
It was considered insurance fraud at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Although it was my own property. It was my own property that was stolen, and it was a nonsense thing, but that's how it was.
And you were convicted?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Is that your first arrest, sir?
No.
Was the arrest just prior to that?
That was a case that was dropped on an advertising program that was eventually dropped.
Mm-hmm. How long was your probation on the insurance fraud?
2 years.
When is your probation up?
Oh, it was up before I came to California.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This is not a criminal case. Criminal case, the burden of proof is proof by beyond a reasonable doubt that an act was committed. The quantum of proof in a civil case, and this is a civil case, is more evidence than not, what we call a preponderance of the credible evidence that an event occurred. So I must make a determination based upon common sense and based upon what I've heard, whether I am satisfied by a preponderance of the credible evidence, that is more evidence than not, that you did in fact key her car. I'm satisfied. So, you have the estimates for the damage?
Yes, and it's already been taken care of.
$1,241.25 is what you paid to have the car repainted on both sides. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,241. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
269 on the calendar in the matter of Bettis versus Stipke. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please. Have a seat.
You had a birthday party at your house for your daughter Nicole
and Christina.
And Christina.
We also celebrated 2 other children's birthday at that time.
And according to this complaint, one of the other children who was celebrating a birthday was the daughter of a friend of yours.
Yes.
Who brought this gentleman to the party.
Yes.
So you came, sir, as an invited guest.
Yes, ma'am.
Of this lady?
Yes.
See how smart I am. Your claim is that while he was at the party, he was drunk?
Yes.
And he destroyed some furniture?
Yes.
Were you drunk?
No, ma'am. I had 3 or 4 beers at the most. They had other people drinking. Her sister and her husband were also drinking the beer.
Who cares about his sister and her brother? They didn't break furniture.
No, they did not.
Well, why'd you go to the birthday party and drink?
Nah, I just had a few beers.
Uh-huh. Why don't you tell me, sir, how it came about that you broke this furniture? Describe what happened to me, if you remember.
Diane had threw a piece of ice up to me.
Just a second. Diane, that's you.
Right.
Stand up there, Diane, because I found that interesting. So she threw what at
A piece of ice up in the air.
Ice.
Ice.
Where were you standing at this time?
On the patio.
On the patio.
Describe how you threw a piece of ice. How far were you standing apart?
3 feet.
Well, move over another foot.
I felt like this.
About that far? And you, what were you doing? Your hands weren't behind your back, sir. What were you doing? You're holding a beer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Make like you're holding a beer, right? All right.
And a cigarette.
And you're, just, what?
And a cigarette in the other hand.
Cigarette in the other hand?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Make like a cigarette in the other hand. Now, Diane, show me what you were doing.
I just tossed a piece of ice up.
An ice cube?
Yes. It was out of the ice chest. Actually, it was out of my cup, but Mike lifted his head up, and he stepped
No, just
back.
you're going to show me. Toss the ice. Go ahead. Toss it. Go.
And when I went back, I hit the end of the table and went down and then busted my head open on a toy chest.
Just a second. I'm not interested with your head. I'm interested in the table. Right? You broke the table.
The end piece, yeah.
The end piece of the table.
Right.
Because you were acting like a fool at a children's birthday party. He had 3 or 4 beers. She's throwing ice cubes at you, and you're catching them in your mouth, right? And I say this to you, sir, because to add insult to injury, you filed a countersuit in this case. You're suing her because you fell and broke your head and split your head open. What does that have to do with her? What does that have to do with her?
That was her house, and I was on her property, and I went through pain and suffering through the deal.
So whose fault was that?
It was my fault.
So what are you suing her for?
For the pain and suffering I went through.
Why is your pain and suffering her problem? If you get it, listen to me, sir. If you get out of bed in the middle of the night, right, to go to the bathroom, and you stub your toe on a chair, and you break your toe, do you sue the chair manufacturer? Huh?
No.
No. Now, the table didn't have 3 or 4 beers and move. Right?
No.
So I'm really trying to understand what was in your mind when you filed this countersuit. Her lawsuit, I understand.
Okay.
Okay. That was easy.
Okay.
That was easy. Okay. Is that pretty much what happened?
In general, yes. We offered to call 911 or take him to the hospital. He refused.
You were
No,
being...
no, that is not true.
Doesn't make any difference. I want to know about the table.
Okay. Basically, the table was broke on one side, and he broke a chair.
So did you have it fixed? Were you able to repair it?
We tried to get it fixed. They were not able to fix the table and the
How
chair.
did he break a chair?
He was sitting in it, and when he leant over to get a beer off the table, he broke the chair.
He broke the... Well, that happened before the table.
Right.
You remember that?
No, there was no chair broken, no.
You don't remember a broken chair?
No.
There was not a chair broken.
How was it broken? You have a picture of it?
Yes, we do. It's basically just a little metal hinge that fits into the grooves of the side of the chair. It's a folding chair, little wooden folding chair. And
so did you fix the folding chair?
No, there's nowhere to fix the metal piece.
Did the party continue on after this happened with this fall?
Once they left, the party did end, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
He fell backwards, and I came watching over there, and Mommy and Mommy's friend and Diane, they tried to doctor him, but they rushed him to the hospital.
Thank you. Did you have a good time at your birthday party? Hmm? You didn't. Why not? Why not?
It's okay.
You can tell me. Tell me your name.
Tina.
Hmm?
You offered to fix the table.
No, she's all right. She's all right. I won't ask her any more questions.
Thank you.
Evidently, she didn't have such a good time at the birthday party.
No. She does not want me to throw any more parties for her again because of what happened.
Why?
Because basically she seen him walking around drunk and fall down and shed blood all over at her birthday party.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was told they were going to pay $50 each Sunday. I did not get any money, so I took matters into my own hands.
And later today,
I certainly wouldn't make damage in broad daylight with a neighbor walking outside in the street.
The police were there, and he fled.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 35-year-old Cynthia Bettis says Mike Stipke ruined her daughter's birthday party when he got drunk and broke a table. Mike says it was all an accident and is countersuing for medical bills.
How much was the table worth?
About $200.
Okay.
I have a letter from the lady who owns the table
You borrowed the table from somebody else.
My in-laws did. They borrowed the table for the party.
Okay, well, it has to be replaced. And you have to pay for it. Don't be foolish.
I did offer to pay for it.
So then what are we doing here?
I asked for the money to be delivered, $50 every Sunday, and they agreed upon it, and it never came through.
I offered to write her a check in the whole full amount and have Mike pay me back because I live 3 blocks from him.
So?
I never got that offer.
She says, I'm going away for the weekend. I'll call you when I get back. We'll make arrangements to happen. She didn't call.
Why don't you just drop off the check?
Why
did
should
you
I
send
go
her the
there?
check?
She made it clear she didn't want me over there.
Why don't you just send the check in the mail? Say, I'm sorry this happened. Sorry it
I
spoiled
am
the
sorry
birthday
it happened,
party.
and I made that quite clear to her.
All right. Well, it's a very unfortunate circumstance. Sir, you understand that you owe $200. That's for the table. I mean, little girls who had a birthday party, one of them had a good time. The older one didn't. She probably understands a little bit more about what was going on. Certainly, you know that your countersuit has absolutely no merit. If you act like a fool, sometimes you get hurt. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $200.
Do I get the table?
Do you get the table?
Yeah.
No, you get the judgment.
Okay.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Thank you. What a jerk.
Back door to your right, please.
There was an accident and it happened. I'm sorry that I broke the table.
Thank you. I'd like you to apologize to the kids that you ruined their party.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And now the next case.
Parties on Lane versus Tynan. Step forward, please.
Los Angeles artist Jack Lane claims he was contracted to draw a caricature of 45-year-old Dan Tynan, but he never paid him for it.
Mr. Lane, you are an artist.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, you were commissioned by the defendant to do a caricature of him
Yes.
for a Rotary Club. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did the caricature.
Yes.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do.
And you sent it to him. And he didn't pay you for it.
That's right, Your Honor.
Why?
Your Honor, he had sent me the caricature, or he had solicited me to draw a caricature for my demotion party.
Tell me what a demotion party is.
Demotion party is at the end of my presidency in my service club. We have a party at the end of the year. At that party, we usually get some form of gift. He had done this for other clubs, and he had solicited me saying, can I do this for your club? I said, come to my office. I made an appointment. He came to my office. And at that time, I showed him a caricature that I keep on my wall, Your Honor. And I instructed him that this is the caricature that I wanted, something like this with a couple of exceptions. The exceptions were to put my logo on the cap and to put something else in my hand other than a hot dog, like a hammer or a gavel or something. Then he proceeded to draw.
Well, did he do it in front of you, sir? Did he do the drawing while you were sitting in your office?
No, we went outside into the parking lot and he continued to draw. After he drew, he showed me the drawing, and it was nothing like this. It was something that he draws himself, more of a portrait than a caricature. I said that that is still not what I had drawn, that I had with the changes. He said he was going to go back, ink the difference or ink something, and that he would mail it to me.
Okay, so he went home and he drew this?
He went home, he drew that, sent it to me. That was not the cartoon.
Just a second. You sent it to him?
Yes.
When did you send it to him, sir?
I billed him and sent it to him 5/1.
May 1st?
Yes.
And you received it when, sir?
Somewhere mid-May.
Let's say you received it the beginning of the second week in May.
Very good.
What did you do with it?
Once I saw the caricature, I knew that I would not use it for my demotion party because it wasn't what I had commissioned or what I had asked for. When he sent the second billing request, I packaged it and mailed it back to him.
When did he send the second billing request?
July, I believe.
And your demotion party was in June?
In June, yeah, late June.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're going to pay this bill, sir, and I'm going to tell you why. Very simple. I would have complete sympathy for your position if when you received this in May,
beginning of the second week in May, before your demotion party, you put it back in the envelope and you sent it back to this gentleman and you said, this is not what I bargained for. I'm not interested in it. If you want another opportunity to do what I did in fact commission, because this, quite frankly, is an adorable caricature, absolutely adorable, but it's not exactly what I want. It doesn't have a gavel in the hand, and I don't like the logo, because those were the two things that you complained about.
Yes.
Right? So it would be very easy for him to put a gavel in your hand and to change the logo. You didn't give him an opportunity to do that. You didn't even have the common courtesy to respond to his first billing. You waited until July, 2 months later, and then you packed it up and sent it back to him. That's bad form. He just bought himself a caricature. Give it to him.
Your Honor.
Mr. Lane, you won.
Yeah.
$92.01 to the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
That is for better than that.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Cruz. Ambrosini versus Hernandez. Step forward, please.
16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend, Moses Cruz, claim exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez owes them a refund on a condo.
You folks were living in the same hotel that the defendant was living in temporarily. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you became friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Well, we didn't become friends there. We became friends at work.
Okay. Don't talk. And there came a time when you were going to buy a condo. Is that right?
Yes.
And you approached the defendants to see if they wanted to rent a room in your condo that you were purchasing.
Exactly.
According to these papers, you said yes?
Yes.
And you needed some money.
Exactly.
How much money did you need?
$700.
And as sort of a down payment on their room, you gave her the $700?
Correction, Your Honor, that was $750. I have 2 contracts here signing. I had to pay a $500 first month and a $250 security deposit.
Okay, can I see what you have there,
Yes,
please?
ma'am. These are 2 pieces of evidence that I have, 2 contracts that Lisette signed herself.
Okay, fine. So let's assume it was $750. This is some contract.
I was in a rush, Your Honor. Grabbed the first thing I could. The next one's better.
Okay. And then, for some reason, which I'm sure that you will tell me, you decided not to move into the condo, and she gave you back $100, according to these papers. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, she has.
And you want the other $650.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was dancing with me. We were both dancers.
I'm sorry, I'm 16
And I made
years old.
$3,000.
I'm 16 years old.
I made $3,000, and she know that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend, Moses Cruz, want the money back on a condo from exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez. Lisette says they moved out without giving notice.
Well, there came a time, I gather from these papers, that you moved out of the hotel but did not move right into the condo.
Right, Your Honor.
Where did you move?
Okay, at that time, we needed
This
a
is your
place.
boyfriend?
Yes, this is my boyfriend, Moses. We were looking for another location to live while we were waiting for the condo. We were going to just stay in the hotel. It was very expensive, so Lisette kindly offered us to stay in her boyfriend's house and pay $100 a week. We did that, and we stayed there for about 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, and we paid him for every week. At that time, we were told that she needed the money immediately, and we gave that to her within 3 days because she had said she had a closing to meet. And it would
Closing on the condo.
Yes.
I understand that.
She said it would be about a month to get it, okay? So in our minds, we're thinking, okay, we only have to tough this out for about a month. We wound up not getting a condo or not moving into a place for 3 months. We were waiting to move in for 3 months.
Just a minute.
For 3 months, Your Honor.
Did you stay in the boyfriend's house for 3 months?
Yes. No, we did not. We stayed in the boyfriend's house for about 3 weeks. The other times we were staying at the hotel, and then my father was moving out of his apartment, and he was moving out half of the month early. So
you moved someplace else.
Yes.
But there came a time when you ultimately said to her, I don't want to move in.
Yes.
And when was that?
That was in, I guess, February, March, April.
How much
April.
after you had left the hotel and moved into the boyfriend's house did you tell her, I want my money back, I don't want to move in?
About a month.
That's a lie.
Okay, you tell me.
That's a lie. It was one day. Okay, this is what happened. When they moved into the apartment with my boyfriend, with me and my boyfriend, they was paying $100 a week, which is true. Okay, now, when they was moving out, I didn't know they was moving out. My boyfriend tells me one day, Lisette, do you know that they moving out? I said, what? He said, yeah, they moving out. I said, no, I don't know nothing about it. He said, well, I'm getting ready to leave, so when I leave, you talk to them and ask them. When I came to you and asked her, I said, Nicole, y'all moving out? She said, yeah, we moving out. My father left me. Wait a minute. My father left me. My father left me an apartment, and I'm going to move into it, and we're going to keep paying the rent there or whatever to stay there. I said to her, so what do you expect me to do? You expect me to take the money right now and just give it to you when I don't have it? You know I'm trying to get this condominium, and I don't have the money right now to give to you. Okay, but before that happened, one day we had went out, or we was working or whatever. She was waitressing, and I was working in the place where we was working at. I made $4,000 that day, and I said to Nicole, I said, here, you know, I gave her like $1,200 to help her out or whatever. I never asked her for the money back. I never said nothing to her.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Your Honor,
that's exactly what it was, $1,200.
Miss Hernandez, I'm going to simplify this. I've just, while you've been telling me this whole story, been looking at these two papers. These two papers, I assume that you recall signing. Is that right?
Right, and I agreed to pay her back the money. I did.
Okay, so...
And I told her that I would pay for it as soon as I'd be able to get the money.
You signed the contract. So you owe her the money.
Right.
How much did you pay her back?
$100.
So you owe her $650.
Right, but she moved to Texas. But how did she expect me? I live in Florida. She lives, hold up, she gave me an address and expects me to make her money order every week and send her $50.
She said she would do that.
Stamp and everything.
Moses.
I said to her, let me finish.
They
said they will come back they was moving back to Florida, whatever.
Miss Hernandez.
She said that.
Moses.
Moses.
You got to train him better.
I try, Your Honor, I try.
You got to try harder. If you don't do it now, it'll be too late. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They get into bad habits.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Hernandez, you owe her the $650.
Right.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $650.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I wanted to make this easier for you, but in that time that I was struggling, trying to get money back, broke, Lisette wasn't paying us, my mother, who is a witness here today, sent me $300. I was living independently at the time.
What are you lecturing about? Just a second. What are you lecturing about? You sued for $650. I gave you $650.
Okay.
Say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nerves.
Yeah, this is case number 188 on the calendar in the matter of Kessler versus Fields. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
You two gentlemen had some beaut of a fight. And according to you, Mr. Kessler, you were assaulted by Mr. Fields' car, and he almost ran you over, causing you some serious injury. According to Mr. Fields, you assaulted his car, causing damage to his car. So why don't you tell me, gentlemen, how this argument got started?
Basically, to the best of my recollection, I came home for lunch. I had a job offer to move to Dallas. Both of us...
Were you living together at the time?
We were. I came home, took an extended lunch, and we weren't getting along. We weren't getting along for some reason. We had a fight. I don't recall exactly what it was. He didn't want to talk about it. He left. I got upset. Didn't want him to leave. Asked him not to walk out on me. And he got in his car, started the engine. I got upset as he started to back out, and I did kick his car. A stupid thing to do, but I did. As he backed out of the driveway, he pulled across the street, backed up into the driveway, and put his car into forward and slammed into the back of my car, which is parked parallel in front of my house in the street.
Okay, so let me understand this. You kicked his car.
Yes, ma'am.
He backed out his car and hit your car with his car.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Just before he had backed out, a police officer had driven by, and after he smashed into the back of my car, I ran out to flag the officer down. I was standing behind my car, when I got out into the street. It happened very quick. The next thing I knew, I was on his hood, and he sped up.
Just a minute. You didn't fly on his hood.
No, he hit me.
He hit you
with his car.
From the front?
Yes.
Go ahead.
After I was on his hood, he sped up and was going down the street, and
With you on the hood of the car?
With me on the hood of his car. I was holding on to his windshield wipers to not be thrown off. When I realized what was going on, I got very angry, and I did tear the left windshield wiper off. When I did that,
well, that was sort of foolish, sir, because according to you, you were holding on for dear life to these two windshield wipers. One would have thought that you would have held on to them and not broken off your last link to safety. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr.
I do
Kessler.
not recall what was going through my mind. It just happened so fast.
Well, what usually goes through your mind when you're in a situation that is very dangerous is how to best protect myself. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
The best way for you to protect yourself at that moment was to hold on for dear life to the only two things that you could grab hold of, which were the two windshield wipers. Not to break one off and throw it away. Then you're holding on with one hand. Right, Mr. Kessler?
Yes, ma'am. I did grab onto his hood after, the top part of the hood, and I was holding onto that. And
How do you hold on to the top part of a hood that's closed?
Underneath. You can grab onto it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't recall this. This part happened so fast, I don't recall.
Okay.
But you
do remember that you pulled off his windshield wiper?
Yes, and I was still holding onto the right windshield wiper, and I must have had my hand somewhere where I didn't. I was still on the hood of the car. He slammed on his brakes. When he did so, the right windshield wiper came off in my hands because I had a firm grip on that windshield wiper. I flew back, landed on my back, hit my head. The next thing I know, the bumper was somewhere up here above my head. It happened really quick. He threw the car in reverse, started going backwards. I felt, pain in my back and in my head at that point, and I screamed. I threw the windshield wiper at his car. It hit his windshield and shattered it. And after that happened, I heard a car coming up behind me. I tried to stand up, and I couldn't. The police officer asked me what happened. I said, I don't know, we had a fight. He went nuts. He's slamming into my car. Please stop him. Basically, I was able to get up, and I hopped on my left foot back to my car. It's when I realized something was wrong. I didn't know my leg was broken or my ankle was broken or what was wrong with it. That's basically it.
Now, do you want to hear the truth?
Well, I'll hear your side of the story, sir, and then I'll decide who's telling the truth.
What happened was, he came home for lunch. I was getting ready to leave. My car was ready and running. Came home to explain the transfer to Dallas, whatever. I explained to him that I thought it was a great opportunity, that he should do it, that he should go ahead and go down there. It would take me at least a couple months to get all my things organized. He took it as it was a final decision of a breakup, whatever. Then we led into an argument. It had been going for about an hour. I had to leave. I was late. So I went, got in my car. He was still irritated, mad, whatever you want to say. Followed me out to my car, still screaming at me. Then that's when he kicked the door. I backed out, was starting to back out. He kicked the door again. I pulled out into the street. At that point, I felt that I had taken way too much of his crap before and after and during that situation.
So
I proceeded to run into the back end of his car. As soon as I was done with that, I was done and over with it. I started to back up, pull away. He stood in front of my car, would not let me leave, so I kept inching the car forward. He jumped on the hood, grabbed both of my windshield wipers, and started proceeding to, rip them off. So I did take the car up to about getting ready to go into third gear.
What does that mean, third gear?
30 miles an hour, so went a good couple blocks. And decided to slam on my brakes.
Mr. Fields.
Well,
not smart.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Then that's when he went flying off with both windshield wipers in hand. I figured it was done, over with. I was out of it. He then proceeded to stand up with windshield wiper in hand and slammed the windshield wiper into my windshield, busted it. I have the receipt for the windshield. When he did that, that's when I said, okay, enough's enough. You want to play this game? We'll play this game further.
Sounds like the War of the Roses to me. It's a good thing there wasn't a chandelier around. Woo!
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We did get into screaming matches quite frequently because it gets a little old when you're living with somebody who refuses to talk to you.
And later today,
he didn't follow instructions. He had a lot of conceit for his work, and I don't like green eggs and ham, Sam I am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Litton Fields admits he was extremely angry at his lover, 29-year-old Scott Kessler. Litton claims running him over in his car was an accident and doesn't feel he should pay for Scott's medical expenses.
Were you a witness to this thing?
No, ma'am. I'm just here because he can't do anything with his ankle.
If he can't do something on his ankle, he'll tell me.
Yeah.
You're not a physician, are you?
No.
Can you do anything on your ankle?
The only activity I can still do is snow ski with some pain. The boot holds my ankle together.
Is it your right ankle or your left?
It's my right ankle.
Your right ankle. Is that the same foot that you kicked his car with?
Yes.
Twice?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, gentlemen, clearly, based upon what you both told me, you cared about each other for a long time. You lived together. What I don't understand, Mr. Fields, is your reaction in taking this car up to 30 miles an hour with him on the hood. Let me tell you why I don't understand that. We all lose our tempers. Clearly, you both lost your temper, because I think that somewhere in the middle of what you both told me is the truth. You can replace a windshield, you can replace a dent to your car, you can replace him going into your car, because sometimes people, when they're hot, they do those things to other people's property, even people that they care about. But the physical part of it, the accelerating your car to 30 miles an hour and then slamming on the brakes, not smart.
I agree.
Now, Mr. Kessler, you started it. You understand that?
I made the first stupid move, yes, ma'am. I do have records from my doctor, signed statements that show, and I have pictures, that I have bumper impaction contusions on both of my legs where I was struck by the bumper. I was hit by the car.
I don't doubt that you hurt yourself.
And my ankle was completely crushed when the tire ran over it.
Could I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Ankle looks pretty bad. Have you seen these photographs?
No, I haven't.
Well, I'd like you to take a look at them, Mr. Fields.
I do have a signed doctor's statement stating that I was struck by a car. It was obviously that I was struck by a car.
Sir, statements from a professional witness can tell me that you had a broken tibia, that you had this or that. But a doctor can't tell me how it happened, because that is a judicial determination made after hearing evidence. I mean, there's no question that you were injured. What were your medical bills, and were any of them uncovered?
My medical bills were in excess of $10,000
How much
to
were
reconstruct my ankle. I believe about 7,000 of them were covered by my insurance.
What do you mean you believe? Don't you have the bills there, sir?
I do have a lot of bills. Between the insurance company and the lawyer that I hired at first, I did not get all my paperwork back from him.
Well, I can't even consider, sir, your application for certain medical bills without a clear figure about what medical bills were left uncovered.
Well, I have statements here showing...
Mr. Kessler, when you come to court, you're supposed to be prepared, sir.
I have a statement here for several bills that are showing what is owed by me. Apparently, they are more than what I expected. I still have continuing medical bills to this day. I have another surgery I have to schedule for next month, which will not be covered because it's a pre-existing injury.
Mr. Kessler, I can't give you anticipatory damages, sir. Do you have a figure for me of what your unreimbursed medical bills are to date, sir?
Unfortunately, I have outlines of bills here that I received from my attorney. He refused to return any of the other paperwork to me. I do have future medical bills. I have records here that state that I am going to need another surgery.
I cannot, as I told you, Mr. Kessler, give you anticipatory damages. I've already told you that.
Okay.
Mr. Kessler, so is the bottom line, sir, is you do not know exactly...
What I'm suing for mainly is besides medical bills, is loss of enjoyment of life. I cannot run, jump, I cannot water ski, I cannot do anything anymore. I never will the rest of my life.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That I jumped on his car, that's absolutely ridiculous. There is no way I jumped on his car. His car hit me.
And later today,
In this case, he loves that caricature because it was taken 20 years ago. That's probably the last time he looked good.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Kessler is suing his former lover, Lytton Fields, after a lover's quarrel turned violent. The judge is ready to rule.
Mr. Kessler, I do not excuse what he did. This was a terrible argument. I believe that you were at least partially responsible because you jumped on the hood of his car. You jumped on the hood of his car and you grabbed his windshield wipers. You placed yourself in harm's way. That does not excuse him from doing what he did, which was accelerate the car and then stop short. This wasn't a case where you were crossing the street and you were hit by his car. I am not giving you any money, sir, for lack of enjoyment of your life. You are partially responsible for what happened to you. He is going to pay your unreimbursed medical bills to date. If you do not have those unreimbursed medical bills to date, sir, I cannot order any money on your behalf. Wait until you have your second surgery and sue him again. Do you want to do that so that you've done it on all in one ball of wax? I'm more than happy to allow you to withdraw this proceeding without prejudice to you refiling when you have accumulated all of your medical bills. Unreimbursed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. The only thing that I have to say as far as jumping on his car is I do have, there's no way I could have jumped on his car.
I believe that that's exactly what happened, sir.
I have pictures proving that I have bruises below my knee.
Listen to me, sir. I don't know when the bruises came about. I don't know when they came about, when you fell off, when you jumped on. Mr. Kessler, that's my finding, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to make an award based upon nothing more than conjecture in your original statement that you had approximately $3,000 in unreimbursed medical bills, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to give you the $3,000, or do you want to withdraw this proceeding without prejudice to having it renewed when you have your next surgery, and then you can get all of your bills together? What do you want to do,
Yes, ma'am, I will do that then.
Fine. This matter is marked withdrawn without prejudice. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back over to your right, please.
Much more nasty now. It gets a little old when you're living with somebody who refuses to talk to you, doesn't give you any reason why he won't talk to you. None of your friends can stand him because my own family, when he came out to visit, could not believe that I was seeing somebody with his attitude.
Judge, number 204 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Hager. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Shame on you both. Always strikes me is when two adult men get into a car and get into a contest and let their testosterone take off and rule their heads, there's trouble, especially when there's a child in the car, like this gorgeous little blonde thing. Mr. Miller, you're suing Mr. Hager because you say that after some sort of a dispute in your car, he was driving his, you yours, he attacked your car with a club.
Yes.
And caused almost $400 worth of damage to the car. Tell me how it started, sir.
I was making a turn off of Valley View Street. I was going south. There's a frontal road there beside of it. Hager was coming, going south also on it. He run the stop sign. And as a result of it, I almost hit him. If I hadn't stopped, I would have hit him. I blew my horn, he raised his finger at me, and we proceeded down the frontal road.
So you're both now going in the same direction?
We're both going in the same direction.
And this is your grandchild?
Yes.
She was in the car with you?
Yes.
Where was she sitting, front or back?
Well, it was a pickup, so she's in the front.
Right next to you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We came to an alley that runs down behind a shopping mall, and we proceeded down it, and we got to the end of the store.
Which car was first and which car was second?
He was following me.
Just a second. His car was first, your car was second.
Yes.
Were you following him, sir?
Yes.
Why?
I was behind him. I mean,
were you following?
I'm going in that direction.
He was chasing me.
Shh, just a second. I'm going to get to you in a second, sir. You said you got to an alley.
Well, it's an alley, and it's also behind the store, but it's a parking lot also.
Well, were you going into that parking lot, sir?
No, I wasn't going into the parking lot.
So you were actually not behind him. You were following him.
Okay, I was following him.
What? Now, why were you following him?
So I could get his tag number.
Okay. And then what happened?
As we got to the end of the stores, there's also another small frontal road that leads to the front of the stores. He partially made the turn and stopped, jumped out, grabbed his club, and ran at me while I'm stopped. I had, in the meantime, stopped. He ran about 30 feet towards my truck, ran up to the side of me, took a swing at me. I pulled my truck forward, and he hit the back of my cab.
Can I see the damage to your car?
If you'll notice, Your Honor, the damage is at an angle as if he was swinging something, and you'll see that it's also right in line with me in the truck. So if I hadn't pulled forward, he would have hit me in the truck.
This has an open top, sir?
No, it's you looking at. May I get it to you? Oh, come on, surely. I take better pictures than that.
I got it. I got it now. Oh, I thought it was a convertible truck. I hadn't seen one of those. All right. Now I got it. All right, Mr. Hager, let's hear you, sir.
Well, what he said is correct as far as he was following me. I was very close to my home. I didn't want him, I wasn't going to go home knowing he was following me. I became fearful, wasn't sure what I should do. So yeah, I stopped, and in an attempt to defend myself, knowing that not knowing what he's going to do, I did take my club. He sees me stop. He's coming at me. He puts his head out the window of his truck and says, "I'm going to run you over." That's when he started to come at me with the truck. I jump out of the way, and he backs up a little bit and comes at me again. The second time is when he came close enough to me that I could swing and hit the truck.
All right, so I have a few questions for you, Mr. Hager. You live in that area, sir?
Yes. I was less than a block away from my home.
And how long have you lived there?
About 18 months.
So you know where the local police precinct is?
Actually, I found it after this.
You mean you didn't know before?
No. Well, it's a very large city. I wasn't sure where to go.
I don't believe you, sir. You see, I see this. You see, I see this around here.
Well,
and I'm like a truth machine. So don't tell me that you didn't know where to find a policeman.
I went to. Well, no, that would have been the alternative. Was drive around.
That's an alternative rather than getting out of your car with a club.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem to me to be logical, sir, that if you're in fear of your life, you are defending yourself against a 2-ton truck with a 2-pound club.
Right.
You see, that doesn't make sense. To me, what makes sense is if you're in fear, you stay in your car. What kind of a car were you driving?
A Camaro.
So you stay in your Camaro and you drive around until you see a police car, if you don't know where the local police precinct is.
Right.
Right.
But I thought of that after, but in the fear, I wasn't thinking that logically.
Listen to me, Mr. Hager. Why were you in fear, sir? You were in your car, windows closed, right? Windows closed.
No.
You could have closed the windows, Mr. Hager, right? You do have electric windows in your Camaro?
Yes.
So you press a button, you close the window, and you keep driving, and you say to yourself, I got some nut here behind me. I'm not going to get out of this car. I'm going to stay in my car. But you get out of your car. Where was the club?
On the passenger seat.
You pick up the club, and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Wonder how afraid he was when he stuck his finger up. Could we ask him that question?
And later today.
Make me look like a liar. Make me look bad when you know you was stripping and you know you was working, Nicole. Don't stand there and lie.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bird Miller says Jason Hager's gesture led to violence, smashing Bird's pickup.
You pick up the club and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager. It doesn't. It's illogical, sir.
To drive around looking for the police, I needed to, at some point, decide I'm going to stop and defend myself. That was it.
Defend yourself against what, sir?
This gentleman.
He's in his car.
I don't know that he's going to threaten to run me over. I think he's going to get out.
How can he run you over in your Camaro, sir? Sitting in your car, how can he run you over, Mr. Hager?
He can't.
Right. Sitting in your car, he can't run you over. Only when you're outside of your car, standing there armed with a weapon, can he run you over. Your mistake was getting out of the car. And then you hit his truck. So you were in a combat posture with a weapon. I mean, I'm not suggesting that what this man did was correct. I think, Mr. Miller, to be quite honest with you, sir, you're old enough to use your brains, and if this guy ran a stop sign, as you say, of course, you didn't run the stop sign. Is that correct?
Correct.
I knew that. I knew that's what you would say. But you have a very precious cargo. Not you. Her. And so if you have a very precious cargo, and if you were fortunate enough, and God was watching you, and you didn't have an accident at that stop sign, you take a deep breath, and you say, phew, finished. I'm grateful that there was no accident, and you keep going. If you can get his license, that's fine. But to follow him into an alley is not swift.
It's really not an alley, Your Honor. I understand what you're saying, but
you understand what I'm saying.
I don't mean it's just,
I understand, but you got hot.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm not denying it at all.
Yeah, well, you want to get hot with you alone in the car. That's one thing, but you don't get hot when you have a baby in the car, especially a baby that looks like that.
Could I add something to this?
Sure, sir.
Okay. He said I almost hit him there at the stop sign. If you look at the pictures, you will see there's a medium between Valley View and where he would have been sitting. So, in other words, I would have had to jump across the medium in order to hit him.
Interesting, not terribly relevant, because we're not talking about what happened at the stop sign. What we're talking about was Mr. Hager's. You both exercised poor judgment on that day, in my view. But Mr. Hager's judgment is going to cost him the amount that you claim you spent or will spend to fix your car, and I assume you have a bill for that.
Your Honor, I have a bill for the damage. I don't have a bill for a rental car. It'll take 3 days to fix the truck, which is $25 a day.
Well, Mr. Miller, for your bad judgment, it's going to cost you to rent your car.
All right.
For his bad judgment, it's going to cost him to fix your car. And the grand total here is $279.80 to fix your car. Mr. Hager, it was a very dumb thing that you did, because he may not have been the kind of person that he is, and he may have, in fact, run you over. And your 2-pound club wasn't going to help you. So,
well, my question is, if he cares enough about this truck to get it fixed, why is he chasing people and threatening them with it?
Mr. Hager, he wasn't smart to try to chase you to get your plate number, and I assume that that's what he was trying to do. He did not get out of his cab. You got out of your car. Dumb. Stupid. And not only did you get out of your car, you got out of your car with a weapon. So it's going to cost you. The amount it's going to cost you is the amount that it's going to cost to fix his car. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Thank you, Bill. I'll have the back go to your right, please.
Come on.
And now the next case.
Parties on Miguel versus Parker. Step forward, please.
Rosalinda San Miguel is suing her exterminator, Brandon Parker, because she claims he entered her apartment without knocking and saw her in the nude. She's suing for mental anguish.
All right. You're in the shower.
I was getting ready to take a shower.
And you heard a knocking on your door?
Yes.
What did you do?
I went to my son's bedroom to look through the window to see who it was.
And who was it?
It was a pest control man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pest control?
Yes.
An exterminator?
Right.
Correct.
Of bugs?
Excuse me?
Of bugs?
Bugs, anything.
Anything. And so what did you do?
When I seen that it was him, I ignored it because I hadn't ordered no services for that day. So as I proceeded to go down the hallway to go back into the bathroom, I saw like a light in my living room. And when I went in there, he was in my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time when I went in there, I was naked.
When and where?
Into the living room because I had removed all my clothing already when I was getting ready for my shower.
So you're suing him for all kinds of pain, suffering, and distress because he let himself into your apartment and saw you naked. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, Mr. Parker.
Yes, ma'am. I was going to this apartment complex for my first time. We just gotten the account, and they gave me a sheet of paper of a list of apartments to do. And they told me to pick 5 apartments out of this, about 20 apartments on there to do, so I went about doing that.
How did you get into these 5 apartments? So you picked 5 apartments?
Right.
How did you get into these 5 apartments?
The management sent a maintenance person with me, plus they gave me a key. Halfway through doing these apartments, the maintenance person left. So I chose her apartment was one of the last ones I was to do, and I went to her door, I knocked, and I knocked, and I knocked. No one would answer the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I assumed the apartment was empty, and I was to go in there, do my business, and get out and get gone. So I unlocked the door, opened the door, said pest control. I yelled it 3 times, and then about after the 3rd time, she came through the hallway. She was not naked.
She was?
She was not naked.
What was she wearing?
She had a long t-shirt on and what appeared to be shorts. And as I was trying to understand her, what she was trying to say to me, she was pushing me out the door. I was trying to explain to her what I was to do, and it came out to be that I had mistaken her apartment for another one that was in the same area.
Let me understand this. Was her apartment number on this list that you got?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
I also have a copy of the work order log. I had ordered for services 6/20/97, and it specifically says spiders outside only.
Miss Miguel, the problem is, when I read your complaint and I read his answer, it appears to me that this gentleman was told that your apartment was one of those apartments that was to be serviced that day. Do you understand?
Yes.
So my question is, if that is true, then you are suing the wrong person. You should be suing your management company, the people who told him to go into your apartment. What are you suing him for?
Correct.
He was following instructions.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I just felt I was very violated. I really was. I can understand a mistake, like I've said, but when you're asked to leave, you are to leave.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosalinda San Miguel is suing her exterminator, Brandon Parker, because she claims he entered her apartment without knocking and saw her in the nude. She's suing for mental anguish.
On this work order log, Your Honor, it states the date of services that were supposed to be done that day.
You mean this is the work order log that he had?
This is the work order log that my management had.
Not that your management. I want to see the one that he had.
It's
so
the same
I
one.
will. What?
It's
the
the
same
same
thing?
one, Your Honor.
Let me see.
The one highlighted is my apartment, Your Honor.
Okay. Sir, I'd like you to look at this. This is what your employer submitted.
Right.
I'd like you to take a look at that piece of paper, please. And I have a copy of it. Does it not indicate that her apartment was only to be serviced outside?
Yes, that's what I'm saying is on the line above it, it says roaches. Whenever I went to do that, I was a busy day, and I had misread the line above it from what I was spraying for.
No, you didn't tell me that before, sir.
Well, I should have. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't tell me that before. Before you told me that you had received a list, you went into the list, and it turned out to be...
This is what I was received.
So you went into the wrong apartment.
Right.
The management company didn't tell you to go into that apartment. You went into the wrong apartment.
They told me to pick 5 apartments from this whole sheet.
Right, but
They
her
didn't.
apartment says spiders outside.
Right.
So what'd you go inside for?
Because I misread the line above
Because you
it.
made a...
Mistake.
Okay. That's simple.
Right.
Now, you made a mistake. So you're not suing his boss, who clearly has deep pockets, much deeper pockets, because you could have. You understand that.
Yes.
That was your mistake. He made a mistake. Now, is this a $5,000 mistake? Because that's what you're suing for? You're going to have to explain to me why this was a $5,000 mistake, Ms. Miguel, because I can see an apology and some sort of minimal compensation, but quite frankly, I don't see where this mistake, and it was clearly an honest mistake, is worth anywhere near $5,000.
Your Honor, we're all human. I know we all make mistakes, and I mean, my heart's not that cold, you know, to say, okay, you made a mistake. But when he went in, and I told him, what are you doing in here? He told me that he had a work order, you know, to spray for roaches. I go, I don't have roaches. You need to leave. He told me, no, you signed a waiver with your manager that I can come in here. And I told him, I never did no such thing. I asked him to leave about 3 or 4 times, Your Honor, and he would not leave. I had to take the master keys myself from the lock, and I threw them and I shoved them out my door. And I told him, I will meet you in my manager's office, because he refused to leave my home. I told him, I live here, and I'm telling you to leave, and he wouldn't leave.
Well, you understand, Ms. Miguel, that he honestly believed that he had a work order to do your apartment. You understand that? I mean, he wasn't making that up. He honestly believed that he had a work order. He misread a line. How many times did she ask you to leave, sir?
As far as I remember, I heard maybe once or twice.
Well, why didn't you leave right away?
Because I was trying to understand what she was wanting me to do.
She wanted you to leave.
Yes, I understand that, but she was speaking so fast, I was having trouble understanding her.
How long have you been working for this exterminating company, sir?
Approximately 5 to 6 months.
How much do you earn a day?
About $50 a day.
You have family?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of family do you have?
I have a wife and a young child.
How old's your child?
He's going to be a year in September.
How much money do you bring home a week?
Approximately $200.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, it is.
Doesn't sound like a lot of money.
It's not.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now, he makes $50 a day. He. The exterminating company, they make probably a lot more than $50 a day, right?
Yes, we do.
But you didn't sue them. You sued him. I think he made an honest mistake. I think he probably didn't act appropriately right away because he couldn't understand you. You were very upset. Should have left right away when she told you to leave.
I understand that.
You understand that?
Yes.
It's going to cost you 2 days' pay. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
You were engaged to be married to Miss Rigos' mother. Is that right?
That's true, yes.
Lived together for a while?
Yes, we were.
And according to your complaint. The plaintiff is her daughter, and she says that there's certain property of her mother's that she wants that's in your possession. Is that what this case is about? Not in $5,000.
I'm not interested in the money, Your Honor.
No, she says she just wants the property back. That was her mother's. Ms. Rigos, I read Mr. Gomez's answer to your complaint, and I must tell you that based upon and my sense from reading his answer is that he loved your mother very much.
I did, very much. Yes.
What are these things that you want of your mother's?
Well, in the beginning, it was mainly just, you know, certain momentum. A month and a half ago, and it was just a couple of boxes with her shoes, 2 bags of clothes, which is not in Europe and Michigan when we were growing up. That's it.
What's the old country?
In Malta.
So he gave you back the mementos, those photos.
Things that my kids bought, you know, their grandma, you know, for birthdays. I stayed there for a couple months, and it lasted there all these years. And my son called him in April and asked him if he could get it. And there's just other things that are there that are mine, you know. My sewing machine, which he had brought. Why he would tell a little 10-year-old that. You know, he has not gotten a hold of me.
Okay.
And then when she came back, she asked me that, I told her to come back and we'll live together, and she asked me if I could help her start a business. I said,
responsibility to contribute to those funeral expenses. You know that. I assume he did it because he loved your mother. Well, just a second. What he's saying is he took out a loan for the equipment.
Yes, I understand that, but the loan came from...
It's my job to determine whether somebody is a credible witness. Yes, sir.
One more question I have.
Well, I do. I do. I think that you all have to understand that when somebody dies, everybody feels sad. I thought about this a lot over the last 20 years, you know, whenever I've had family.
He went in with, I mean, in the beginning, you know, I abide by his wishes. We all did. He said, give me a couple months. I don't want to part with your mother's things. We abide by it.
No, listen to me.
He wanted half of my mother's ashes, which is immoral.
Listen to me. You lived with her for 4 years. Nonsense, folks.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I loved her.
That's outrageous. He was not a bad person. He cared for her.
We didn't say he
I
was,
can
right?
understand you saying to me, I want the things that belong to my mother. Want to give them back in the frames, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay? So that you're going to give back. Now, do you have this motorcycle? Do that?
I'll do that.
Did you bring any of these things with you to
Set my plug to my sewing machine.
It's in the box.
The dish set is?
I didn't know it was there. That's what she said.
For better, for worse, they were a couple. And you should be happy that your mother, from the time she was 48...
Or whatever. She had that on there, and she just says,
a second.
I needed that.
Just a minute.
It was stuck in the back.
It is. And you keep it, sir.
Thank you very much.
You got to get over your anger.
This means very, very, very much to me.
Pretty lady. Okay.
Thank you.
Give me back their things. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Remind me of her. And I have a pair of shoes that slippers that she took off, and I never touched them yet. I just leave them there.
You never showed me the note when I told you about this.
That's right, I'm angry. I'm angry. Yes, I am angry in the 4 years, okay?
Where's
So
the
stay
note?
out
I
of
wanna see
it.
the note for this.
Stay out of it.
Why did you have never showed me the note when I told you about this?
That's right, I'm angry. I'm angry. Yes, I am angry. He never loved my mother. She was miserable because of his daughter, okay? To my mother's funeral. That was uncalled for.
This is case number 181 in the matter of Strews versus Scherzer. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Sir, you allege in your complaint that you made a loan to the defendant of $1,600 for the purpose of buying a used car.
Yes, Your Honor.
She says it was a gift.
She's wrong.
So why don't you tell me what prompted you to lend this young woman $1,600 to buy a car?
Well, Your Honor, I met the defendant in June. I think you've read the statement, and I have a little problem with wanting to help girls out, and I admit that, but she had her car repossessed by her mother earlier, and she wanted to get out of the job that she was doing at the time that I met her, so she needed an automobile to gain employment as a personal assistant. So at the time I had enough money, and we were becoming friends and casually dating, so I offered to loan her the $1,600.
What did you say? Tell me exactly what you said and what she said.
I told her that I had the money and that I would help her with the purchase of the car. She told me that she insisted that she would pay me in October for whatever the loan for the car was. And I discussed the price with her. I said, what can you afford? Anywhere from $1,000, $2,000. We were looking at cars. And like I said, we found a car through a friend of mine that is an automobile broker, and she was pleased with the car that we had found. And
what kind of car was it?
It was a 1987 Audi 4000, Your Honor.
Okay, so you both went and saw the car together?
Yes, we did. We looked at 2 cars previous to that, and Robin was not happy with those cars, so I asked my friend to...
this is the friend?
This is the friend, Miss Moore. And I asked her to keep looking for a car that would be suitable for Robin. And when we found a car, we went test drove it, and Robin said that it'd be a suitable car for her.
So you paid for it?
Yes, I did. I have a bill of sale right here, Your Honor. I have a check receipt here. I've got everything right here.
I'd like to see your file.
Okay.
So then what happened?
Can I add something else,
Sure.
Your Honor? Okay, I am just asking for the $1,600. I'm not asking for this for the money. I'm asking it for the purpose of that this woman, I went out of my way to help her. I didn't expect anything in return from her. But after I had purchased the car, she disappeared. For 7 days, I had it set up that she could have insurance through the insurance man that insures my car. Miss Moore was going to get her to register the car. She was gone for 7 days. I asked her, I said, Robin, you need to take care of these things. She said, well, I want to get a car stereo. I said, listen, young lady, in order for you to operate a motor vehicle, you've got to take care of these things. I'd already had it set up. She got really mad at me. She said she wouldn't talk to me. I said, fine. I said, just take care of the stuff. When I spoke to her again, I said, have you taken care of it? She said, no. She said, you're being mean to me, and I don't want to speak to you anymore. I said, that's fine. I just need you to take care of this stuff. She never registered the car, and as far as I know right now, I don't know what she's doing with it.
Okay. Ms. Scherzer?
Yes, Your Honor.
I understand.
Your Honor, can I also tell you that, in here I have other checks that I wrote for a sofa that I purchased for her that I didn't expect anything. Also her rent that I didn't expect anything. And, it's like, one more time, it's like, my friends have told me not to do this. I'm attracted to women who work in the...
Mr. Strews?
Yes.
You say she owes you $1,600. Can I hear why she thinks that this was a gift?
Yes, I would love to hear that, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I told him not to buy me a car because I knew that there would be something else expected. Something more.
You mean something physical?
Yes. And, as far as the sofa, I didn't even know he was going to go pay for that. The furniture store called me and said, your couch has been paid for. We'd like to deliver it. Can you call us and let us know when? I don't feel that I owe him any money at all. I told him that I was seeing someone. I told him that he could not expect anything from me, nothing. And he said that was fine. He understood. If anything, he would just like to maybe be able to spend some time with me.
Where's the car?
The car is at my house.
Where's the sofa?
At my house.
Miss Scherzer?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Not while I'm getting ready to talk, sir.
Excuse me.
If you think that I believe that you're a nice young woman, you're mistaken. You're a taker. Because if what you just said to me is true, that you didn't want to accept any gifts from him because you knew that there were strings attached. Are you chewing gum?
Yes, ma'am.
Get it out of your mouth.
Okay. Your Honor?
I'm not finished.
Okay.
If somebody like this gentleman has a problem because he is generous to a fault with young women and he expects something in return, then a nice young woman would say, I'm not speaking to you.
I'm sorry.
Then a nice young woman who cared about doing the right thing would have said to the furniture store, please, I don't have the money for the sofa. Return the money to the person who paid it, and when I can afford to pick up the sofa, I will pick it up. And a nice woman would have said, not only did I tell you I don't want your help with a car, but I'm not accepting a car from you because I don't want any strings attached. You, on the other hand, madam, accepted all these things.
Yes, I did.
That's amoral, madam. It's cheapening yourself. It's cheapening yourself. If you knew in your head that he expected something from you in exchange for these gifts,
and you were not prepared to give it to him, right?
Correct.
Then you're a tease. Did you ever hear that expression? Did you ever, Madam, did you ever hear that expression?
Your Honor,
yeah.
He would stand at my door and force me to kiss him goodbye. I never told him that there was anything that he could expect from me at all.
Miss Scherzer?
Ever.
Miss Scherzer, are you not following what I'm saying to you, madam? I mean, are you really that thick?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Obviously, she's very angry. She thinks that I'm like a desperate man, but, you know, I've got 2 women with me right here, you know? It's like, how desperate could I be?
And later today...
I didn't see a naked woman. If I did, I sure as hell remember it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robin Scherzer says when Joseph Strews bought her a car, he called it a gift. But now that their friendship is over, he wants to be compensated.
When you tease someone, that means you hold a carrot in front of them like this. Okay? And you say, maybe you can have it, maybe you can't.
No.
Now, if you are not, however, put your hand down. Don't you know when to shut up? If, however, you are an honest person, you say, I want nothing to do with you, sir. I want you to take your gifts. I want you to take your money. I want you to take your sofas and your rent money and your cars and everything else. I want you to leave me alone. And if you don't leave me alone, because I'm not interested in you, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to get a restraining order so that you don't come to my door anymore. You, on the other hand, were dishonest with him. I find that to be absolutely immoral. You got it?
Yes.
Good. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Don't get mad, sweetheart.
No,
I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad at all.
You're very mad.
No.
You're lying about me up there.
I think you're a joke.
You're calling me,
actually.
you're calling me a desperate man. Do I look like a desperate man? I don't have any problem with women. I met her through an agency that she strips. She did. And I don't blame her. I don't think there's anything wrong with girls that strip.
Why were you calling that agency?
It's like,
do you have to call
won't
people?
Go into,
do you have to call people to get them to come to your house to do that?
Honey,
Is that how desperate you are?
You're not bothering me by this. It's an expensive lesson, but I still date strippers.
Your Honor, this is case number 229 on the calendar in the matter of Stake versus Martin. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Oh, no. Come up here, gentlemen. This is your son, Mrs. Stake.
Yes, it is.
And Miss Martin, this is your son.
Yes, it is.
How lovely for you both. Miss Stake, you had a rental car. You let your son drive the car. He was with his friends. My reading of these papers suggests to me that both of these idiots got drunk. He drove the car right into a pole. Right?
Correct.
You think his mom, because he's a minor, should pay for the damage to the car.
Correct.
His mom says that you know your son drinks and you shouldn't have given him the car. That's your position.
That's correct.
So that you are not responsible for the damage.
Right.
Before I ask you two ladies to sit down, I'd like just for you to give me the bills for the car, and then I'm going to deal with the young men.
This is
So the amount that you had to pay was $5,878.43.
That's the balance of it. My insurance paid $4,900.
But this is just the balance.
Correct.
Why don't you two ladies have a seat for a moment? I'll ask you to come back in a moment. Your first name is what, sir?
Paul.
Paul. And yours?
Jamal.
Now, Paul, tell me about how your mother, it came about that you asked your mother to borrow the car for the evening.
Well, it was, we all wanted to go out. He called me up. He said, what's up on the night? And I said, nothing, and got this rental car, and, you know, he wanted to go kick it. So I was like, all right, fine. You know, I told him I had no money. He said, come on now, this is Jamal.
Could you keep your voice up and try to speak slowly?
Oh, okay. He was like, come on now, this is Jamal. So I was like, all right. So he wanted to get drunk. Well, we all wanted to get drunk. So he went and bought the drink. Then after a while, we went to my...
Just a minute. So you went to your mother, and you said to your mother what?
Well, actually, she already gave me the car. She already let me use the car.
That day?
Yeah. But
what did she say when she gave you the car?
She was like, be careful. And I said, okay.
That sounds right. You said, be careful?
Yes.
So right after your mother said, be careful, you and this genius over here decided to use the car and to go and get some booze and drink, right?
Right.
And where did you decide to do that?
At my sister's house.
Your sister's house? How old is your sister?
Well, she is about 19 now.
So you decided to go to your 19-year-old sister's house with Jamal over here and how many other people?
Just one more person, my best friend.
Now, were you drinking before you got to your sister's house? Is not an answer. In court?
No.
No is an answer. So what happened at your sister's house?
Well, I said, let's leave, you know, because he got into an argument with my sister and everybody else in the house. So I said, you know, let's leave. But by that time we decided to leave, we was already toe up.
You were what?
We were already drunk.
What was the word you used first? Toe up.
Toe up.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, you know, I was too intoxicated to drive, but I still said, let's go. But I wasn't going to leave just right away after I said, let's go. I was going to stay there and wait until I got sobered up. But he was like, no, you too drunk. He tried to take the keys from me. I was struggling with him because I was going to throw them to my best friend across the street. But he already got the keys from me because I was too intoxicated to hold on to the keys. But I still remember that. And after that, he just got into the car. I don't remember how I got into the car. That's the only thing I don't remember. But we got into it.
Well, if you don't remember how you got into the car, you must have been 3 sheets to the wind. Did you ever hear that expression? 3 sheets to the wind?
Nah. No.
No.
So...
No. Toe up, you know. Go ahead. So now you're in a car. You don't know how you got there because you were...
Toe up.
Drunk as a skunk. Right?
Yes.
What do you remember next, Paul?
All I remember is you know, I hear the car going, and next thing I know, I hear him and my best friend in the back arguing, telling him to slow down. And I did wake up and say, slow down, and then I went back.
That you remember. You don't know how you got into the car, but you remember saying, slow down.
I do remember that.
Okay. And the next thing you know, you were dancing with a pole.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They're 2 idiots.
I agree with that. And the mother is an idiot as well. Excuse me?
And later today...
Just a second. A bunch of guys went fishing to celebrate his wife being pregnant?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gina Stake is suing Jamal Martin's mother, Queenie, because Jamal wrecked her car. Queenie says she's not responsible, claiming Jamal only drove the car because Gina's son Paul was too drunk to drive.
Jamal!
Yes.
Let's hear from you.
Okay. On September 13th, I called him and asked him...
Let's do this. You were in his sister's house drinking.
We were outside drinking.
I stand corrected. You were outside drinking.
Mm-hmm.
What were you drinking?
A bottle of Tanqueray.
Tanqueray. That's
yes.
Vodka?
Gin.
Gin. Thank you.
Order.
All right, so you all get towed up. Tow up?
Toe up.
Tow up. You all get tow up, and you got into the car.
Yes.
And what happened?
While we were outside, I was talking to a friend, and I heard some yelling. When I turned around, Paul and his friend Jacoby were arguing about who was going to drive home. Now, I already knew that Paul had passed out, so I walked over to him and told him to give me the keys. There was an incident months before where he had gotten drunk, and I had drove him home before, and his mother had thanked me for it the next day.
Were you drunk
No.
then?
No, I wasn't.
Yes, but you were drunk that evening.
Yes, I was.
So you got behind the car, the wheel of the car,
Yes.
drunk,
Yes.
and hit a pole.
Yes.
and totaled the car.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
How old are you?
18.
You go to school?
Yes.
You work after school?
No, not anymore.
Why?
Well, they had to let me go because I had to rephase a class. And
You had to what?
Rephase a class. That's taking the class over.
Why?
Because it was hard and I didn't understand it, so I had to take it over.
What about you?
No, I'm working right now.
Oh, good. That's good.
Thank you.
Now I'll have the mothers back. Consider yourselves both really lucky. I assume you do. You look like two absolutely lovely women.
Thank you.
Lovely, responsible women who really shouldn't be here today because they're too big to beat, for want of a better word. So you got to beat them financially in order to teach them a lesson, both of them. Because I agree with you that this young man is partially responsible for this bill. So is he. You agree?
I agree.
He had no business getting behind the wheel of a car.
That's true.
So he's got to pay.
I also agree, however, though, that mistake is also at fault.
If she knew that her son had driven before drunk,
right,
and she was hoping it would not recur, is that right?
I agree.
Then she's partially responsible. He's going to pay half of this bill.
And what portion is mistake going to pay?
Oh, that half. That half, because it's going to take him a long time collecting cans or doing whatever he does to come up with $2,800, $2,900,
Okay.
which is what we're talking about. Bottom line is, he was the one who could have killed himself, the passengers in the car. Instead of hitting a pole, he could have hit.
But who made
someone crossing the street with their baby carriage
This was
instead
3
of a
o'clock
pole.
in the morning.
Hmm?
This was 3 o'clock in the morning.
So what? Are you trying to make an excuse for him?
No, I'm just saying that no
Don't
baby,
make
no one
any
in a baby
excuse for
carriage.
him.
I am not making an excuse. I
So
have
if it
told
wasn't
him.
a baby carriage, if it was somebody
But I
coming home
understand
from a
what you're
3
saying.
o'clock shift working that was crossing the street that he could have killed because he's an idiot.
Right, I understand that.
All right, good. So let's not make any excuses. I don't like excuses for one's children. When they do something stupid, you're supposed to say, my kid did something stupid.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, Your
Perfect.
Honor.
Then he's going to
But
pay
I'm also
half.
saying that I feel that my son was a minor at the time. Her son was over 18. Yes, I am responsible for my child. Her son, who was working at the time, is responsible for himself. Right. Now, she sent me a letter saying that to split the difference. I sent her a letter back saying, because I feel that you are at fault as well as your son and the other gentleman in the car, I feel that the greatest burden should be paid by her and the 3 boys should split the remaining difference.
I see it differently. I see it big time differently, and I'm going to tell you why. But for the actions of your son, it is possible that that car would not have been driven that night. He didn't have to take the keys to the car and drive it. He could have said, I'm going back in the house and calling my mother and having her come and pick me up because I'm not going to drive this car while I'm drunk. If they want to act like fools and drive the car, that's none of my business. Then you wouldn't be standing here
Exactly.
today.
Also-
No, just a second. They're 2 idiots.
I agree with that. And the
All
mother
right.
is an idiot as well. Excuse me? I'm saying, had she not commended him, her undermining what I'm teaching my child by saying, yes, Jamal, you did a good thing driving my son home when he was drunk, maybe he wouldn't have drove this time. I'm not making an excuse, but I'm saying...
You are making an excuse,
No,
madam.
I'm not.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Like I said, this is all fine to me. There's no person in this world like me. I can overcome anything in this world at all, anything.
And later today,
Tom had been consenting to drinking and driving.
Mr. Jackson, you were blotto drunk.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Miss Martin, she said to you in her letter, split the difference
And I
with me
don't feel it
because
should be
I am
split.
prepared to accept part of the responsibility for giving my son the car. She didn't say to you, your son was driving, therefore he's got to pay the difference. She said, I'm prepared to split the difference with you. That's assuming, on her part, a certain responsibility for allowing her idiot to drive the car in the first place. Come on, get it together, madam. $2,900. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor. Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back, go to your right, please.
The money, that's not nothing. I'm still going to live out my dreams and become the richest person in 5 years. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I said, this is all funny to me. They can get their money all they want.